And me too. Min Gran pointed to herself, a little surprised. She knew that Zhou Heng and Liao Haomiao were on good terms now, and she was happy that Zhou Heng had a friend, but as Zhou Heng's girlfriend, she knew to always keep her distance from other boys. She didn't want to make Zhou Heng unhappy, especially with a boy like Liao Haomiao, who had confessed to her before. Ah, you too. This concerns you as well. Liao Haomiao nodded, asking Min Gran to stay. Zhou Heng looked at Liao Haomiao, frowning slightly, and asked, "What do you want to say?" Instead of going home to chat with what's her name. "What are you doing stopping us here?" "That's the problem, brother. I want to ask you too, are you free this weekend?" This weekend, Zhou Heng and Min Gran exchanged a look of surprise. They hadn't actually planned anything for the weekend, so they had both defaulted to studying at home. "What are you planning?" "It's like this. I asked Jutao to go out, but, well, I feel it's a bit awkward with just the two of us. I need wingmen, so I thought of you too. You helped me a lot this time, so I'll treat you to a meal to thank you." Zhou Heng was stunned for a few seconds before he slowly spoke, pointing to himself and Min Gran. "You're asking the two of us to go on a date with you?" "Yeah, come with us. A double date. I think it won't be awkward that way. What do you think?" Liao Haomiao looked at them expectantly. He felt he had to tell Zhou Heng and the others this in person, which was why he had dragged his half-lame leg here so quickly to intercept them. "Let me discuss it with my girlfriend." Zhou Heng put his arm around Min Gran's shoulder and led her 3 to 5 meters away. He whispered in her ear, "What do you think?" "I'll listen to you." I'll listen to you too." Min Gran stammered in reply. Hearing Zhou Heng say he would listen to her made her flustered. She certainly wouldn't be the one to decide anything. As long as she could be with Zhou Heng, she would do anything and go anywhere. "Then, do you want us to spend the weekend alone? Or with them? I want to know what you think." Min Gran thought for a moment, glanced back at Liao Haomiao, and said softly, "If it were up to me, of course I'd want to spend it alone with you. But I think it's better to go with them." "Oh, how so?" "We didn't really help much this time. Technically, we still owe him a favor. You said it yourself. Without him, the two of us wouldn't have gotten together so smoothly. Now that he needs help with his relationship, we should help. Secondly, isn't he your friend now? We should agree to this kind of request if we can. It's simple social interaction. To be blunt, he's a great student, and his future is definitely bright. Building a good relationship might help you in the future." Imingran's core thinking was still centered on Zhou Heng's benefit. If it were up to her, she wouldn't care about any of this. If she didn't want to go, she wouldn't. Wouldn't it be nice to spend the weekend alone with Zhou Heng? But she definitely had to consider Zhou Heng's interests. That's what a girlfriend should do. Makes sense. You're more thoughtful. Let's agree then. MHM. Zhou Heng and Min Gran returned to Liao Haomiao. Seeing the expressions on their faces, Liao Haomiao seemed to already know the answer and smiled slightly. "We agree. We don't have anything planned for the weekend anyway." "Great. I'll contact you then." Liao Haomiao nodded, then turned and left without any hesitation. Watching him limp away, Zhou Heng sighed helplessly. In truth, if he hadn't asked for Imingran's opinion, he would have definitely agreed to Liao Haomiao's request. But if he had asked and she had disagreed, he certainly wouldn't have agreed. In his heart, Min Gran came first. Let's go home." "Okay." The two went home together. Min Gran quickly went to cook. Zhou Heng was very tired today, so she had to make him a good meal to help him eat well. The thought that Zhou Heng would be free tomorrow and could spend the day with her made her very happy. Zhou Heng put down his bag and took out the thick envelope from inside. He felt that Min Gran was very sensible. He didn't need to think of any special way to tell her. As long as he told her directly and clearly, she should be able to accept it. However, letting her owe so many favors wouldn't be easy to repay and would be a pressure on her. So he decided to be direct and give the choice to her. He had no right to decide for her. About an hour later, Min Gran finished cooking and brought the dishes to the table. Zhou Heng was already sitting there and had placed the envelope directly on the tabletop. When Min Gran saw it, she didn't ask. She seemed to realize what it was. So she didn't ask, but waited for Zhou Heng to speak. After she placed all the dishes on the table, she slowly sat down, not picking up her chopsticks, just quietly looking at Zhou Heng. Zhou Heng pushed the envelope a little forward and said softly, "Teacher Wang said she'll turn a blind eye to our relationship from now on. This is from her for you." Min Gran took the envelope, opened it, and glanced inside. Just as she had thought, it was a stack of cash. She put the envelope down and still said nothing, silently looking at Zhou Heng. "Teacher Wang originally said not to tell you. She knew you definitely wouldn't accept it, so she gave it to me and told me to spend it on you in my own name. But I couldn't do that. I felt I had to let you know that this is Teacher Wang's kindness." I know. In Min Gran nodded, pursing her lips, seemingly in thought. After a moment, she looked up at Zhou Heng and asked, "Then what do you think? Should I accept it?" Zhou Heng took a deep breath and said, "I'm not sure. There would be different opinions from different perspectives, so you should decide for yourself. I'll support whatever you choose to do." In Mingran's biggest concern was that she could accept it. She could accept the kindness, but only on the premise that she had the ability to repay it. If she accepted these few thousand yuan, what she would have to repay later wouldn't be money. The value of the favor would surely be greater than the money itself. Otherwise, she would be failing their expectations. In Min Gran lowered her head, clenched her fists, and asked in a small voice, "Then, will I be able to repay Teacher Wang's kindness in the future?" Zhou Heng could understand In Mingran's feelings. If it were him, he would definitely think the same way. After serious consideration, Zhou Heng nodded firmly and said, "I think you definitely can. And you don't have to be afraid. Don't you have me? We'll repay this kindness together." A flash of surprise crossed In Mingran's eyes. She stammered, "But this is a favor I owe. How can I let you repay it? Isn't what's yours mine? Even you are mine. Helping you, isn't that helping myself? So it's no problem for me to help repay this kindness too." In Min Gran lowered her head, fidgeting with her fingers, momentarily speechless. But the redness of her ears was enough to reflect her inner turmoil. For her, it was impossible to refuse such words. It was undoubtedly emphasizing just how intimate their relationship was. Especially the phrase, "Even you are mine," which made In Mingran's little heart flutter wildly. "Well, since you put it that way, what's mine is yours. This is for you." In Min Gran took the opportunity to push the envelope in front of Zhou Heng. Since Zhou Heng had said so, it meant that he could accept this kindness too, right? If Zhou Heng accepted it, she could reluctantly accept it as well. This could be considered using her name to bring a benefit to Zhou Heng. Otherwise, from her own perspective, there was simply no reason to accept it. I have no reason to accept it. Teacher Wang gave this to you. But you said, what's mine is yours. Zhou Heng put down the envelope. It sat in the middle of the table like a hot potato that no one wanted to touch. The food beside it was still steaming, but the two of them remained silent. "Well, in that case, let's both accept it together, okay? Then from now on, we'll do our best to repay Teacher Wang." Zhou Heng was the first to suggest this. After all, he had an agreement with Teacher Wang. If neither of them accepted the money, they would have to return it. What if Teacher Wang broke them up? What if she forbade them from dating, deliberately separated them at school, or even told their parents? These were all outcomes Zhou Heng didn't want to see. He didn't know what the consequences would be, but it would definitely be troublesome. In Min Gran nodded silently in response. "Machem, I agree. What should we do then?" Zhou Heng thought for a moment and said in a low voice, "To repay a teacher, we have to study hard, right? Improve our grades, so she'll have a chance to get a raise or something. I think there's one thing you can do that will make her happy." "What?" In Min Gran looked at Zhou Heng, listening intently. Zhou Heng thought for a moment, nodded, and said, "On the next exam, you surpass Liao Haomiao and become number 1 in the grade. Teacher Wang will definitely be happy then. Look, although our class has the best overall grades in the year, Class 1's homeroom teacher is especially proud just because they have Liao Haomiao. If you can become number 1, it would be a huge help to Teacher Wang." In Min Gran also knew Zhou Heng was right, but it wasn't as simple as it sounded. The reason Liao Haomiao's grades had consistently dominated the top spot was because the gap was too large. There was simply no chance to surpass him. Although In Min Gran was second, she was more than 10 points behind the first place, Liao Haomiao. Getting those 10 points was already an extremely difficult task. So while she also wanted to be first, Liao Haomiao was like an insurmountable mountain. Don't worry, isn't he trying to date now? He even has to go on a date this weekend. No matter what, it's bound to distract him, right? Then won't the gap between you shrink? Zhou Heng saw In Mingran's worry and comforted her in a low voice. I'll do my best. Let's eat first. Okay. The two put the envelope away for now, without deciding what to spend it on, just storing it safely. After dinner, Zhou Heng went to turn on the computer, as he had already agreed to play games with Tang Ji that night. In Min Gran also sat next to Zhou Heng, ready to watch him play, looking very interested. It wasn't that she wanted to play the game, but simply because she liked seeing Zhou Heng happy. "You're here? Is In Min Gran there?" A moment later, Tang Ji's voice came through the headset. The first thing she did was check if In Min Gran was there. Hearing this, In Min Gran smiled and spoke into the headset. "I'm here. I'm right next to him." "Good, then watch closely. I don't know if you can understand it, but Zhou Hang's zombie-like controls will make your blood pressure spike if you do. You gotta be kidding. Your controls are the real joke. Even if you were cured, you'd still be drooling. It's hard to imagine a human sitting in front of that computer. What a waste of your peripherals. Zhou Hong and Tang Ji started trading insults, but with smiles on their faces. In Mingran was a bit confused and asked in a low voice, "Why are you guys saying that about each other?" Zhou Hong paused for a moment and explained, "Huh? It's nothing, just joking around. It's fun to trade insults when I play games with her. It's fine." "Oh, I see." In Mingran didn't understand, but she respected it. She didn't play games, so she didn't know what kind of fun this was. But seeing that Zhou Hong wasn't angry at all, and Tang Ji's tone was also very relaxed, it seemed they really didn't take it to heart. Once Zhou Hong started playing, his expression changed noticeably, and his mood visibly brightened. Seeing Zhou Hong happy, Mingran was also very happy watching from the side. After playing for a while, Zhou Hong logged off, turned off the computer, and prepared to study with Mingran. He had now become the type of person who couldn't feel at ease even if you let him play without studying at all. If he played games, he had to study afterward to feel settled. At the desk, Mingran thought of the weekend and asked, "Where are we going with them?" "For the weekend?" "No idea. Let them decide." Zhou Hong shook his head. He hadn't asked about that either. To him, it was the same no matter where they went. "So our goal is to get them together? Don't worry about them. We'll just focus on having fun ourselves." The next day, the sports meet continued. Students gradually arrived at school, ready to relax for this final day. For the third-year students, this was their last sports meet, and the last time they could be so relaxed at school. After this day, they would be under the constant pressure of preparing for the college entrance exams. After entering the school gates, Zhou Hong and Mingran's hands automatically separated, but they still stood very close. Even without physical contact, they looked very intimate. When they got to their classroom, many classmates proactively made way for them, calling out, "Zhou Hong, you too, come sit over here. Over here, over here. It's cooler here." This left Zhou Hong a bit stunned, not knowing what to do. Mingran held back a laugh and whispered in his ear, "Your popularity seems to have improved. I'm basking in your light." Zhou Hong hadn't expected his popularity to improve so easily, but the result was normal. Who wouldn't be popular when their girlfriend was the most well-liked person in class? "Come here. Come sit over here." Just then, a voice with considerable authority came, instantly silencing the others. Everyone looked towards the source of the voice and sat down like deflated balloons. Sitting there was their homeroom teacher. At this moment, she was waving at Zhou Hong and Mingran, motioning for them to come over. The two exchanged an awkward smile. Although the teacher wanted them to sit next to her, wouldn't they be unable to do anything if they were right beside the teacher? But they didn't dare to disobey her command. They obediently walked over and sat down, one on each side of Teacher Wang. Teacher Wang looked from one to the other and asked quizzically, "You're not sitting together?" Sit," the two said in unison. Then Zhou Hong quickly got up and sat next to Mingran. Mingran shyly lowered her head, looking very bashful next to Zhou Hong. After all, this was in front of their teacher, which was a bit too exciting. Teacher Wang tilted her head, propping her cheek on her hand, and looked at the two with a slight smile. She said softly, "You know, you two actually look quite good together. How come I never noticed before?" Zhou Hong and Mingran were stunned for a moment, glancing at each other with a hint of surprise in their eyes. They hadn't expected their homeroom teacher to say something like that. How were they supposed to respond? "Thank you, teacher," Mingran replied in a small voice, laughing inwardly. After all, she had received her teacher's approval, and was even told they looked good together. This was probably the thing she loved to hear most. "I'm looking for Zhou Hong. May I ask where he is?" Just then, a voice came from behind. Zhou Hong and the others turned to see that it was Liao Haomiao, who had come directly to their class. Zhou Hong looked at Mingran and said, "I'll be right back." Then he stood up and walked over to Liao Haomiao. "Brother, I came to chat with you. How should we arrange things for the weekend? Can't you say it on the phone? You know me. If I can chat in person, I'll chat in person." Zhou Hong and Liao Haomiao left together. The crowd watched their backs, somewhat puzzled. Why is Zhou Hong on such good terms with Liao Haomiao from Class 1? No idea. That's the Liao Haomiao. Number 1 in the grade. Scary as hell. One is the strongest brain in the grade. The other is the strongest body. I wonder what those two are up to. Teacher Wang and Mingran also watched the two leave, lost in thought. After a moment, Teacher Wang asked Mingran, "Is Zhou Hong close with that Liao Haomiao? Are they friends?" Liao Haomiao was so famous that practically every teacher and student in the third year knew him. Teacher Wang had never expected Zhou Hong to know him. It felt like there were two people who would never cross paths. But on second thought, Zhou Hong was dating Yin Mingran, so maybe anything was possible. MHM, they're friends, but they haven't known each other for long. I see. Zhou Hong can even make friends with him. He's quite capable. That's good. Building a good relationship with someone like him will be beneficial for Zhou Hong in the future. Teacher Wang nodded, muttering to herself. Then she looked at Yin Mingran and asked in a low voice, "Hey, let me ask you and Zhou Hong, how far have you two gone? You haven't gone all the way, have you?" Yin Mingran was truly stunned for a moment. Then her face flushed crimson all the way to her ears, and her heart began to race. Yin Mingran didn't know whether she should answer the question. It seemed rude not to answer her teacher, and not answering would make it seem even more suspicious. But how could she bring herself to answer? Teacher Wang seemed to see Yin Mingran's predicament and chuckled lightly. "All right, you don't have to answer me. I was just asking casually, but let me tell you too. You absolutely must not let anything happen. If you end up with a baby, are you going to raise it or not? And it will definitely ruin both your futures." Yin Mingran's face grew even redder. Unable to control her voice, she couldn't help but say loudly, "We won't. You can rest assured." This outburst attracted the attention of the other students, who looked at Yin Mingran with surprise, making her so embarrassed she buried her head, wishing she could find a hole to crawl into. However, after she lowered her head, she started thinking about what was just said. A child with Zhou Hong. She had never thought about it before. Just being with Zhou Hong already made her very content. It already felt so unreal. She had even thought about marriage, but never about children. She wondered if Zhou Hong would want children in the future. Would he like kids? What would her and Zhou Heng's child be like? The child's name is also very important. What would be a good name? Wait. Yin Mingran shook her head, pulling her thoughts back. She didn't expect that she would get so carried away with her thoughts. However, she did long for that scene. Being married to Zhou Hong, having a child with him, a family of 3. At this moment, Zhou Hong was walking and chatting with Liao Haomiao, completely unaware that Yin Mingran was already fantasizing about their child. "What do you want now?" "I want to talk to you about our weekend itinerary." "Brother, this weekend is crucial for me. We must make a plan." Zhou Hong tilted his head, his brows knitting slightly, and said, "You know, generally in movies and TV shows, whenever something is meticulously planned, accidents are guaranteed to happen, and a lot of them. Try it if you don't believe me." "Really? Don't scare me." Liao Haomiao's face was filled with worry. He hadn't considered this point, since he never really made plans, and this matter was too important to allow for any mistakes. He had the idea to make a plan for the first time and immediately came to discuss it with Zhou Hong. But what Zhou Hong said made him a little worried. Zhou Hong patted his shoulder and said, "My point is just for you to not care so much about plans and stuff. The main thing is to focus on her." "Yeah, don't worry about that, I know. But I'm just afraid of accidents, which is why I want to make a plan." "So according to you, we shouldn't plan?" "The point is, it's not necessary. You're not proposing, you're not preparing some big surprise. There's no need to plan anything. Just treat it as a normal outing." Liao Haomiao's brows furrowed into a tight knot, as if he were pondering a complex problem. After a moment, he looked up and asked seriously, "You mean, you should propose?" "Hey, don't you dare hit me. I was joking." Liao Haomiao saw that Zhou Heng's expression wasn't right, and quickly took 2 steps back, afraid that Zhou Hong would do something crude to him. Zhou Hong just glared at him and didn't do anything, saying flatly, "All right, there's no need to make any plans. If you ask me, just a normal walk around the streets, a meal, that's enough. At most, watch a movie. Should we go play in the water?" Zhou Hong looked at Liao Haomiao quizzically, not understanding why he would suddenly suggest this. "Play in the water? It's already autumn, it's so cold. An indoor water park. It's not cold." Zhou Heng's eyes were sharp, his brows slightly furrowed as he questioned, "Why did you think of going to play in the water? Are you trying to see someone in a swimsuit?" "No, it's just that a family member of mine works there. We can play there for free." Liao Haomiao shook his head innocently, spreading his hands and explaining, Really? Yeah, really. We don't know where to go anyway. If we go there, we'll know what to do, and it's free. Isn't that great?" Zhou Hong fell into silence, seemingly hesitating. He definitely had to consider whether Liao Haomiao's suggestion was feasible. From a simple perspective of having fun, Liao Haomiao's suggestion was indeed a good idea. Otherwise, just strolling around, eating, and watching a movie would be quite boring. For Liao Haomiao, it would be like wasting a precious opportunity for a date, and the progress would likely not be ideal. But going to a water park was different. There would definitely be more opportunities, and they could have more fun. The key was it was free. How about this? I'll ask my girlfriend, and you should ask Zhu Tao too. If they agree, we'll go. How about that? Yeah, let's do that. Zhou Heng and Liao Haomiao hit it off and agreed to this proposal. But their agreement alone wasn't enough. The main thing was to ask the two girls, as both of them prioritized the girls' opinions. If they didn't agree, the proposal would be immediately scrapped. When Zhou Heng returned to the classroom, he found Mingran and the homeroom teacher, Wang, deep in conversation. So he didn't go over to disturb them. Instead, he scanned a room and saw Tang Ji sitting in a corner of the classroom, head down, playing on her phone. She seemed to be playing a game, a lollipop in her mouth, her eyes glued to the screen. He walked over and sat down next to Tang Ji. Tang Ji glanced up, and upon seeing it was Zhou Heng, she went back to her phone and asked, "What's up? Mingran isn't paying attention to you. How is that possible?" "She's chatting with the teacher. I'll just sit here for a bit. Seeing you all alone and forlorn, you look so pitiful. Don't you know me? Being forlorn is a small matter to me. I don't care." Tang Ji shrugged nonchalantly and continued to focus on her game, completely unfazed. Zhou Heng sighed helplessly. They were cousins, after all. He should probably look out for Tang Ji a little. Otherwise, if this continued, what would happen if a perfectly good kid became withdrawn? How are you going to make friends in university like this? I know you think friends are optional, but sometimes you really do need them. You can't deny that, can you? Don't I have you and Mingran? What if we're not at the same university? Tang Ji pouted and said, Mingran will definitely go with you. There's no doubt about that. Then I'll just go with you guys too. With my and Mingran's grades, getting into the same university as you shouldn't be a problem, right? Huh? No. Didn't my aunt and uncle already pick out a university for you? Why would you not go to that good university and come to one with me instead? Tang Ji raised a delicate eyebrow, turned off her phone, crunched the lollipop in her mouth, and looked at Zhou Heng, saying flatly, "Yes, a good university can raise your ceiling, but it doesn't mean my ceiling is there. Besides, there are so many people who study well. I don't have such grand ideals to do those great works that benefit humanity. I think being good enough is fine. So which university I go to doesn't matter to me." Zhou Heng took a deep breath to calm himself and nodded. "You're really, your way of thinking is quite suited for someone who's alone. If you were in a relationship, your boyfriend definitely wouldn't be able to stand it. That's why I said I'm not getting into a relationship. Not everyone thinks marriage and children are the definition of happiness. I think being alone is great. And my family agrees. So what's the problem? No problem. You're right. After all, you only live once. So of course you should live according to your own wishes. Luckily my aunt and uncle are quite open-minded." Zhou Heng looked ahead and saw that Mingran up front had noticed him sitting here. She said something to Teacher Wang, pointed in his direction, and then he saw Teacher Wang nod. Mingran then stood up happily and started walking towards him. Zhou Heng lowered his voice and said one last thing to Tang Ji. "It's not that you guys have to go to my university, it's that I have to get into yours. You don't need to lower your standards, I just need to raise my grades." Tang Ji couldn't help but be taken aback for a moment. Then, her eyebrow arched slightly, a small smile playing on her lips as she said softly, "Then it's a deal. If you really get in, then I'll give you my 7-star, top-spec, max-attribute pet as a reward." "For real?" "Fake. At most, I'll give you a 5-star one. If I give you the 7-star one, how am I supposed to play? Stingy." "What are you two talking about? I'm not interrupting, am I?" Mingran didn't seem to mind at all that Zhou Heng had gone to find Tang Ji instead of her after coming back. She sat down right next to him, smiling at them both. No, I just saw you and Teacher Wang chatting, and I was afraid to interrupt, so I came to sit here for a while." Even if Mingran didn't pursue the matter, Zhou Heng had to explain to avoid any misunderstanding. We were talking about." Mingran was about to speak, but her voice died in her throat. She remembered that she had just been talking with the teacher about things between her and Zhou Heng. It would be embarrassing to say such things in front of Tang Ji, right? We weren't talking about anything, really, just some idle chat. Just then, Tang Ji's final event was about to start. She had to go check in and prepare. "I'm off." She stood up and tossed her jacket, phone, and other things directly into Zhou Heng's arms. Mingran waved her hand and said, "Good luck. Be careful. MHM. Tang Ji raised a hand in response and left. Zhou Heng put Tang Ji's things aside and then looked at Mingran, saying, Liao Haomiao just came to talk to me about the weekend. He wanted to discuss where to go." "MHM, what did you decide?" "Well, he suggested going to water park, an indoor one. His family works there, so he said it's free. I don't really mind, so I can't ask your opinion. What do you think? If you don't want to go, we can go somewhere else." A water park? Oh, playing in the water. Min Gran was truly stunned for a moment. She had originally wanted to say that whatever Zhou Hong decided was fine. She would go anywhere. But playing in the water, she really had to think about that. Because her swimming skills were very poor, she couldn't swim. If she went, she would definitely have to use a swimming ring, which meant she couldn't go on some of the attractions like the water slides. Wait, Min Gran glanced at Zhou Hong beside her, her eyes scanning his body. She thought, if they went there to play, she could look at Zhou Hang's physique to her heart's content, right? Although right now, as long as she said the word, whether she wanted to see or touch Zhou Hang's body, she could, and he would agree. But she would still feel shy. If she asked to touch him every day, that wouldn't be very good. But if they were out playing, it should be fine, right? And since she couldn't swim, she could have Zhou Hong teach her. Excessive contact, and such would be normal then, right? Okay, I have no problem with it. I can go anywhere. Min Gran nodded, agreeing. All right, then we'll wait for Liao Haomiao's message. He needs to ask Zhu Tao if she's willing to go. But I don't have a swimsuit. Do I need to buy one? Zhou Hong nodded and said, MHM, I don't have one either. We can go buy them together after school on Saturday. Okay. A short while later, Zhou Heng's phone buzzed. He picked it up and saw a message from Liao Haomiao. I'm okay on my end. How about you? Zhou Hong replied. Okay. Good. We'll talk details on Saturday. Putting his phone away, Zhou Hong looked at Min Gran and nodded, indicating that the matter was settled. In the afternoon, all the events of the sports meet had concluded, which meant the sports meet was officially over. It was time for the awards ceremony. The champions of each event went up to receive their awards. In the end, Zhou Heng's class won 7 gold medals, 9 silver, and 4 bronze. 4 of the gold medals were won by Zhou Hong and Tang Ji. In addition, Tang Ji also received the Best Opening Ceremony Performance Award, which was a unique prize for the entire grade. No one disputed this award. Almost everyone felt that Tang Ji deserved it. From then on, Tang Ji was noticed by the entire school, this hidden gem finally unearthed. However, no one dared to approach her, because the news that Zhou Hong was her brother had been spread by the few who had tried. With a brother who could throw a shot put with such results, who would dare to approach her? Whoa! Clap, clap. When the award winners returned to the classroom, the classmates all applauded and cheered for them. The others looked happy and proud, while Zhou Hong and Tang Ji were a bit embarrassed. They still weren't used to this feeling of being the center of the class's attention. Zhou Hong sat down next to Min Gran. Just when no one was paying attention, Min Gran suddenly leaned over, her soft, thin lips gently planting a kiss on Zhou Heng's cheek. What? Zhou Hong was stunned for a moment and turned to look at Min Gran. He saw her gently pursing her lips, her cheeks flushed red. Thank you. Thank me for what? Zhou Hong was a bit slow to react. He really hadn't expected this sudden attack from Min Gran, especially when the whole class was present. It was quite stimulating. Because you participated in the sports meet, it was my request. I'm really grateful that you agreed. But we weren't together back then. If it were now, it wouldn't be necessary. Those bets and things. Zhou Hong remembered that he had agreed to participate in the sports meet because of a bet with Min Gran. If Tang Ji participated, he would too. Thinking about it now, the fact that he could make that bet meant he was already prepared to participate. He had forgotten what he was thinking at the time, but he could guarantee that even without the bet, if Min Gran had just asked him nicely, he would have eventually participated. So, I wanted to thank you for agreeing to the request of someone who wasn't your girlfriend at the time. Min Gran raised the corners of her mouth, revealing a gentle smile. Then she reached out her hand, gently taking Zhou Heng's palm and interlocking their fingers. Zhou Hong held Min Gran's hand tightly, his eyes, full of affection, fixed on her. Next time, you won't need to make any requests of me, because your business is my business. Just as Zhou Heng's voice fell, a jacket was suddenly tossed from behind, directly covering their clasped hands. The two immediately turned around to see Teacher Wang standing behind them. Teacher Wang frowned and said in a low voice, Did you forget what I told you? Be more low-key, or I won't be able to protect you then. Okay. Thank you, teacher. When Saturday arrived, the students' moods began to relax again, because after school in the afternoon, they could finally rest. This once-a-week break was like salvation to them. Are you sure you're not going? The 4 of you are going on a date. What would I go for? I'm not going. Besides, I have a guild war to fight tomorrow. I'm very busy. Tang Ji waved her hand, rejecting Zhou Heng's invitation. She knew that they were going out tomorrow. After discussing it, Zhou Hong and Min Gran felt they should invite Tang Ji too. Otherwise, it would seem like they were abandoning her after making new friends, which wasn't good. However, Tang Ji really didn't want to go. It wasn't that she was being polite or didn't want to be a third wheel. Those things weren't issues for her. The main reason was that she preferred playing games at home much more than going out. All right then. Zhou Heng nodded. Since Tang Ji had already said so, he didn't need to invite her again. After school, Zhou Heng and Yi Mingran left the classroom together, only to find someone already standing at the classroom door, waiting for them. Whoa, why are you always so fast? Is your dismissal time different from ours? Zhou Heng looked at Liao Haomiao at the classroom door and couldn't help but exclaim. They were already very fast. They had started packing their things as soon as the bell rang, and it couldn't have been more than 2 minutes before they walked out of the classroom. Yet Liao Haomiao was still one step ahead, as if he were afraid they would slip away. Our two classes are very close anyway. I packed my things 3 minutes in advance, and the teacher doesn't drag out the class, so I ran out as soon as the bell rang, because I knew you definitely wouldn't wait for me. Liao Haomiao shrugged and explained flatly. Although he hadn't known Zhou Heng for long, he was naturally good at understanding people, especially someone like Zhou Heng who had no ill intentions. If he hadn't blocked the classroom door, Zhou Heng would have 100% not waited for him and would have just left. Zhou Heng was at a loss for words, turning his head away awkwardly and stammering. I wouldn't do that. Didn't we agree to go shopping together today? I just thought. We could also meet at the mall. Cici, I was right, wasn't I? You really weren't planning on waiting for me. Liao Haomiao pouted, his brows slightly furrowed. Even so, he could understand Zhou Heng's actions. He just hadn't had any friends for a long time, so he didn't particularly value the existence of friends. And now that he had a first love, he had even less energy to care about friends. For him, as long as his girlfriend was there, friends were secondary. Seeing her boyfriend being picked on, Yimin Gran quickly stepped forward and said, All right, let's go quickly, or the mall will close. Where's Zhu Tao? Isn't she coming with us too? Liao Haomiao had no intention of being relentless. He nodded and walked out with the two of them. She gets out of school 10 minutes earlier than us. I told her we'd meet at the mall entrance. She should be on her way there by now. Okay, then let's hurry over too. The three of them left the school together. Zhou Heng glanced at Liao Haomiao and asked, How are your injuries? Can they touch water? Hearing this, Liao Haomiao showed Zhou Heng his palm and knee. The scabs had already fallen off, leaving faint scars. Other than that, there were no problems. It's been 4 or 5 days already. They were just some superficial wounds. They heal quickly. That's good. After leaving the school, the three went to the bus stop, got on a bus to the city center, and prepared to go to the mall there. After a 10-minute bus ride, the three finally reached their destination. They walked towards the mall and arrived at the main entrance. With one glance, Liao Haomiao saw the person he was looking for. Ever since they last met and parted, they hadn't seen each other again. After all, they were both busy with school. During this time, the two had been chatting on their phones. Both of them had been looking forward to today's meeting for 4 or 5 days. So the moment Liao Haomiao saw Zhu Tao, his heart rate immediately sped up. Brother, I'm a little nervous. Liao Haomiao reached out and tugged on the corner of Zhou Heng's shirt, whispering beside him. Zhou Heng looked up and saw the girl standing and waiting at the mall entrance. She was wearing a different school uniform from them, with her hair in a high ponytail, radiating a youthful aura. At this moment, she was looking left and right, searching for the figure she was waiting for. Zhou Heng raised his eyebrows slightly and said in a low voice, What are you nervous about? It's not the first day you've known her, and you've been chatting on the phone for so many days. Just go over and talk normally. Brother, chatting on the phone and meeting in person are two different things. I only dare to hide behind my phone. You've come all this way. You're not going to give up halfway, are you? Hurry up and go. Zhou Heng gave Liao Haomiao a push, which almost knocked him over, making him stumble forward. Liao Haomiao rubbed his shoulder, shot Zhou Heng a glare, and then strode forward toward Zhu Tao. Hi. When he was still 3 or 5 meters away, Liao Haomiao raised his hand and waved. Zhu Tao, who had her back to him, heard the voice and immediately turned around. The moment she saw Liao Haomiao, a brilliant smile appeared on her face. She saw the familiar figure, the boy she had been thinking about day and night. Her body trembled slightly, unable to control her excitement, her face faintly flushing. When Liao Haomiao saw Zhu Tao's reaction, he was momentarily stunned and somewhat lost in thought. He looked at the girl. Her cheeks were flushed, her eyes crinkled with laughter, and a certain sparkle in her gaze made her absolutely captivating. This made him feel a little timid, and he even began to doubt himself. Was he worthy of Zhu Tao? His bookworm-like appearance didn't match her gentle and lovely image at all. After her face flushed, Zhu Tao quickly composed herself and returned to her usual demeanor. You're here. She also saw Zhou Hong and Yin Mingran behind Liao Haomiao. After a glance, she gave a simple greeting. Zhu Tao's eyes couldn't help but drift to Zhou Hong and Yin Mingran's clasped hands. She couldn't help but feel a sense of envy. She remembered back in middle school, she and Liao Haomiao had also held hands, but the number of times could be counted on one hand. They were both so timid back then. Even holding hands would make them nervous. But she still hadn't forgotten the feeling of her heart pounding at that time. Once inside the mall, Zhou Hong and Yin Mingran walked ahead, holding hands and chatting about something, their relationship seemingly harmonious and exceptionally natural. In contrast, Liao Haomiao and Zhu Tao, walking behind them, appeared somewhat reserved. Although they walked side by side, there's a distance of about a meter between them, and they didn't speak. Liao Haomiao bit his lip, desperately wanting to say something, but the words would die on his lips, feeling that anything he said now would be awkward. They had chatted so well on the phone. So why was it that after meeting in person, he couldn't say anything? Didn't he prefer to chat in person? Didn't he think face-to-face conversations were more effective, always seeking out Zhou Hong for them? But why was it different now with Zhu Tao? Are your injuries better? After a moment, it was Zhu Tao who spoke first, breaking the awkward stalemate. Upon hearing her, Liao Haomiao quickly replied, they're fine. Fine, it's all good now, look. He then showed her his wounds. Apart from some faint scars, there were no other marks. Seeing these scars, a trace of heartache flashed in Zhu Tao's eyes. Next time, be more careful next time, don't get hurt again. I know. Liao Haomiao nodded, replying obediently. He recalled how dangerous the situation had been. If it had been any more serious, he wouldn't have gotten away with just these simple, superficial wounds. Even the muscles in his leg took a long time to recover. But at that time, seeing that look in Zhu Tao's eyes, his fighting spirit had ignited. If it weren't for his physical fitness not being up to par, he might have really created a miracle. After all, how good could the body of someone who studied all day be? The group didn't have time to wander, so they headed straight for their destination to buy swimsuits. The two boys, Zhou Hong and Liao Haomiao, were quick to pick out their swimming trunks. They didn't need to fuss over styles. They were all more or less the same. Zhou Hong chose a pair of board shorts with longer legs, like normal summer shorts, because with his physique, he couldn't fit into regular swimming trunks, and finding a suitable pair was particularly difficult. As for Yin Mingran and Zhu Tao, the two girls had a lot more to choose from. They browsed together for a long time, but couldn't find anything suitable. The sales associate didn't know how to recommend anything to them, and could only follow them silently. Zhou Hong and Liao Haomiao sat on a sofa, waiting for them. Looks like those two are getting along well, huh? Is it easy for girls to make friends? Pretty much. The key is that my girlfriend has a good personality. Her popularity and character are both great, so making a friend is simple for her, isn't it? Zhou Hong lifted his chin, a look of pride on his face. Liao Haomiao glanced at Zhou Hong and sighed helplessly. From what he knew, Zhou Hong wasn't like this before, right? It seemed that being in love could really change a person completely. He now truly placed Yin Mingran first in his heart. He wondered if he could be like Zhou Heng if he really got together with Zhu Tao. Just then, from the fitting room area, Yin Mingran poked her head out and called over to Zhou Hong. Come here, come here. Oh, coming. Zhou Hong quickly stood up, walked over, and went into the fitting room. He thought Yin Mingran wanted him to see which swimsuit looked better, which was why she called him in. But when he stepped into the fitting room, the scene before him left him dumbfounded. At that moment, large patches of Yin Mingran's fair skin were exposed. She had her back to Zhou Hong. The curve of her butterfly-like shoulder blades was smooth and beautiful. Her flawless, jade-like back was partially hidden by her long hair. From the protruding shoulder blades, down to the indented waistline, and then to the rise of her hips, it was as if it were drawn in a single fluid stroke. Zhou Heng's heart was filled with admiration, marveling at how exquisitely Yin Mingran's body was maintained. Her waist was slender, her figure graceful and well-proportioned, like the rippling surface of a lake under the sun, possessing an indescribable tenderness and charm. She seemed to be trying to pull up the zipper of her swimsuit, but she couldn't reach the zipper on her back, no matter how hard she tried. I can't reach it. Help me pull it up. Yin Mingran forced out the words, her hands still struggling. Zhou Heng's eyes immediately darted away, not knowing where to look, because if he kept staring, little Zhou was going to have a reaction. He reached out his hand, wanted to help Yin Mingran with the zipper, but he couldn't see it, so he didn't know exactly where it was. One hand fumbled around until it touched Yin Mingran's back, gently brushing against it. Min Gran let out a soft cry, her whole body trembling slightly, as if an electric current had passed through her. The sound made her face instantly flush red. Sorry. Zhou Heng pursed his lips. After fumbling around, he finally found the zipper and pulled it up. It was only then that he realized Min Gran couldn't reach it, because she couldn't pull it up, because the front was too tight. How does this one look? Is it nice? Min Gran slowly turned around to face Zhou Heng, wanting him to take a look. Zhou Heng only glanced at it for a second and almost couldn't handle it. So fierce. What a ferocious attack. He first saw the large, clear expanse of her collarbones, followed by a vast field of snow white. No way. Zhou Heng shook his head repeatedly, like a rattled drum, a near unconditional rejection. Min Gran was slightly taken aback, blinking as she looked down at the swimsuit on her body, muttering, "It's no good? I thought you would like it." Zhou Heng looked up and stammered, "I do like it, but don't wear it outside. It's too revealing. I don't want others to see." Min Gran stared into Zhou Heng's eyes. His hesitant expression, tinged with a bit of shyness, made her heart pound. She lowered her head, her expression hidden, but her red ears were visible. After a moment, she said in a very, very small voice, "Then, I'll wear it at home, just for you to see." This. Zhou Heng's brain buzzed, his mouth agape, his pupils dilating slightly. For him, this was an irresistible stimulus, constantly assailing his soul. "Then buy it, and then you can go pick another one." Okay. In the end, everyone bought their swimsuits and was ready to leave. It was now around 6 o'clock in the evening, and the mall was starting to get more crowded. "Zhou Heng, don't you think we should?" Min Gran gently tugged on Zhou Heng's sleeve and whispered in his ear. Zhou Heng glanced at Min Gran quizzically and saw her giving him a look, telling him to look behind them. When Zhou Heng turned his head, he saw that the other two were still acting like strangers. Their distance had closed a little compared to when they first arrived, and they could now chat simply, but they still didn't dare to look at each other while talking, only responding to each other's words and nodding from time to time, not even daring to laugh openly. Zhou Heng was very puzzled, his brows furrowing slightly as he said, "When Liao Haomiao was giving me advice, I thought he knew a lot about relationships. How come when it's his turn, it's like he knows nothing? Being able to advise others doesn't mean you can advise yourself. And their relationship is quite special. There must still be some resentment in both their hearts, preventing them from getting closer." Min Gran saw things clearly and analyzed the situation quite well. It wasn't that these two didn't know each other, nor were they overly shy. The reason for the situation was surely a thin paper window between them. Both could easily break through it, but neither dared, as if they were both waiting for the other to break it first, because they both felt they had wronged the other. Zhu Tao felt that because she had dumped Liao Haomiao back then, she had no face to ask for reconciliation now. Back then, it was because Liao Haomiao's grades were poor. Now, coincidentally, Liao Haomiao's grades were ridiculously good. If she asked for reconciliation at this time, it would look like breaking up with him was her own choice all along. She chose to break up when his grades were poor, and now that his grades were good, she wanted to get back together. How could that be right? Even if the breakup was forced and not her own will, would Liao Haomiao believe it? And on Liao Haomiao's side, it was the same. He felt very guilty. Looking at those social media posts, he knew that Zhu Tao had never forgotten him and had been thinking about him for the past 2 years, even coming to his school from time to time hoping to see him. And what about him? He had studied desperately for 2 years, and in the process had gradually let go of this relationship and even developed a crush on someone else. Even if a place for Zhu Tao was still reserved deep in his heart, if he said such things, would Zhu Tao believe him? Impossible, right? Zhou Heng also felt it was a tricky situation, but he didn't know what to do, so he asked Min Gran, "Then what do you think? How can they get closer? It should be fine by tomorrow, right?" "Probably, but there should still be a chance today." Min Gran turned her head, looked at the two behind them, and asked, "Are you in a hurry to go home? Why don't we just have dinner out? How about it?" Liao Haomiao and Zhu Tao looked up, slightly stunned by Min Gran's question, as if they were thinking. Then, they glanced at each other, and their eyes quickly darted away after making contact. I'm fine with anything. I don't have anything on." Liao Haomiao spoke first, expressing his stance with a shrug, pretending to be relaxed, but in reality, his heart was filled with both anticipation and worry. "I'm okay with it too." It wasn't until Zhu Tao spoke that the large stone hanging in Liao Haomiao's heart finally fell. He had just secretly decided that he must find a chance to chat normally with Zhu Tao. If the atmosphere wasn't right today, it was very likely she wouldn't go tomorrow. What would be the point of going? It was difficult to even talk. They were a lovey-dovey couple, while he and she were in an ambiguous state, not even proper friends. So he knew that he had to get closer to Zhu Tao today, to let her know that it wouldn't be awkward when they went out to play tomorrow. All right then, let's go have dinner together. What do you guys want to eat? I'm fine with whatever. I'm good with anything too. The two were in perfect agreement. After all, their real purpose wasn't simply to have a meal, so what they ate wasn't important at all. In Mingran looked at Zhou Heng beside her and whispered, "Then, you choose." Me? Zhou Heng pointed himself, a bit puzzled. If he had to choose, he really didn't know how to pick a meal that everyone would be happy with. So he just randomly pointed to a place. How about we go there? When everyone's eyes turned to look, they were all slightly taken aback by the shop he pointed at. The bright, warm yellow lights, paired with the wooden plaque and the wine glass pattern on it, made it clear at a glance what kind of place it was. This is a bistro, right? Do you drink? Liao Haomiao blinked, looking at Zhou Heng beside him quizzically. He saw that Zhou Heng also had an awkward expression. He had just pointed randomly and happened to point at this place. I don't usually drink, only occasionally with my elders at home. Zhou Heng shook his head. He had never drunk with people his own age, always with family. He usually didn't drink at all. I don't drink either. Liao Haomiao shook his head. He remembered the last time he drank was probably in middle school. He even tried smoking around that time, but it was just out of curiosity. He choked on it once and threw it away. In short, in middle school, he did everything except study. But since the breakup and starting high school, he hadn't done anything like that, just studying every day. Looking at the other two girls, they both shook their heads in unison, indicating that they didn't drink either. Well, let's just go in and eat something. We don't have to drink. The food in bistros is usually quite delicious, and the atmosphere is nice. Zhou Heng still walked forward directly. After all, he was the one who chose it, so he had to bite the bullet and go. In Mingran watched Zhou Heng's stubborn back, chuckled softly, and quickly followed. The other two had no objections and also followed Zhou Heng into the bistro. As soon as they entered, the interior was decorated in an ancient, quaint style, which looked quite artistic. It was different from other pubs, very unique. It didn't look very big, was quiet, and didn't have many customers. Whoa, Zhou Heng had never been to a place like this either. His claims about the nice atmosphere were just made up, but once inside, he realized he wasn't wrong. The atmosphere was indeed quite nice. He was glad his gamble paid off. The group found an empty table, sat down, and scanned the QR code on the table to order themselves. Zhou Heng briefly looked at the menu. Besides a large selection of appetizers and snacks, there were also many delicious dishes to choose from. It seemed more like a restaurant than a pub. Zhou Heng looked up and saw that Liao Haomiao and Zhu Tao were sitting one to the east and one to the south. If Yin Mingran wasn't sitting right next to him, he would have thought they were about to play a game of mahjong. Huh, you two, why aren't you sitting together? Being asked this question, Liao Haomiao and Zhu Tao glanced at each other and lowered their heads in embarrassment. They wanted to, but who would take the initiative to move over? Who had the nerve? Yin Mingran was getting a bit exasperated. She simply nudged Zhou Heng under the table and gave him a meaningful wink. Zhou Heng immediately understood. He turned to Liao Haomiao, his brows knitting into a knot. Ahem, you, go over there, he mouthed in a low, deep voice, full of authority. It startled Liao Haomiao. He froze for a few seconds, then quickly got up and sat down next to Zhu Tao. His expression was a bit dazed, clearly stunned by Zhou Heng's tone. Zhu Tao became a little unnatural sitting there, looking a bit nervous, while Yin Mingran was secretly laughing. Since talking nicely didn't work, being a little firm would get him to act. Damn, what was that for? You scared me. Liao Haomiao came back to his senses, frowning slightly, looking at Zhou Heng with some dissatisfaction. He thought, at least give me some face in front of Zhu Tao, can't you? Zhou Heng's firm approach had worked. The rest was no longer his business. It was Yimingran's job. After all, if there was a bad cop, there had to be a good cop. A slight smile played on Yimingran's lips as she looked at the two of them and asked, Is there something you two want to say to each other? The two looked up at Yin Mingran, blinking, somewhat at a loss. Yin Mingran's question seemed to have directly hit upon their innermost thoughts. At this moment, they both wanted to clarify things with the other, to explain their guilt and hope for forgiveness. If they couldn't be forgiven, then they wouldn't dare to do anything, forever unable to cross that hurdle in their hearts and move on to the next step. Zhu Tao opened her mouth, not knowing where to start. She felt she should explain things clearly to Liao Haomiao, but was afraid her explanation wouldn't be good enough and would backfire. Yin Mingran pursed her lips and glanced at Zhou Heng. Zhou Hong immediately understood her meaning and nodded. Then he looked at Liao Haomiao and said, "You go first. I can see you're dying to say it." Liao Haomiao's eyes were filled with disbelief. He pointed to himself and muttered, "Ah, me? Am I?" Zhou Hong said with a serious face, "You are. I can tell. Ahem." Liao Haomiao hesitated for a moment, then cleared his throat. He didn't want to continue like this either. After all, he had already decided to get closer to Zhu Tao. He turned to his side, looked at Zhu Tao, and took a deep breath. Although Zhu Tao didn't know what he was going to say, she looked straight at him, wanting to hear his words clearly. "Zhu Tao, first of all, I need to apologize to you. I didn't expect you to still remember me. I thought, after we broke up that time, there was no chance for us to get back together." Hearing Liao Haomiao's words, Zhu Tao gently shook her head and replied softly, "You don't have to apologize. You didn't do anything wrong. No, listen to me. I always thought there was no possibility with you, that I might not even see you again. So, during that time, I didn't hold on to this relationship like you did. Instead, I liked someone else, and even confessed to her." Even though Zhu Tao was mentally prepared, every time she came here, she would think that Liao Haomiao might already have a girlfriend, or that he already liked someone else. Hearing Liao Haomiao say it out loud still made her heart tremble. Is that so? Then why didn't you get together with her? Who is she? A classmate of yours?" Bang! Zhou Hong suddenly slammed the table and said loudly, "That's not important." Min Gran quickly chimed in, "Right? Not important?" Zhu Tao was startled by their actions, not understanding why they had such a strong reaction. Liao Haomiao was also embarrassed, thinking to himself how foolish he had been back then. Maybe it was because he had been studying for too long and had never been in a relationship, so he was a bit desperate. "So, I want to apologize to you. You were always waiting for me, while I'm sorry." Liao Haomiao's words were very deep, leaving Zhu Tao silent for a long time before she slowly spoke, her voice soft. It's okay, because we really did break up, and I was the one who dumped you. So, why should you care about my feelings? How many people you liked, how many times you dated during that time, it's all normal. There's no need to apologize." She didn't blame Liao Haomiao at all. In fact, she blamed it all on herself. After all, if she had insisted on not breaking up with him back then, none of this would have happened later, right? Although that would have changed the future and the outcome would have been different, at least she wouldn't have let Liao Haomiao down, and that was enough. But Liao Haomiao wanted to say more, but was suddenly interrupted by Min Gran. "All right, you don't need to say anymore. Doesn't the way you're desperately trying to explain already prove something? There's no need for further explanation, right?" Liao Haomiao and Zhu Tao both looked at Min Gran, thought for a moment, and realized she had a point. The reason he was so desperate to explain was simply because he didn't want Zhu Tao to misunderstand. That in itself said a lot. If he had truly forgotten everything and didn't have her in his heart at all, he wouldn't want to explain so much. Realizing this, Zhu Tao also revealed an imperceptible smile. Since Liao Haomiao was so eager to explain, it proved that she was still in his heart. In an instant, Zhu Tao's heart felt much lighter. Since Liao Haomiao had been honest, she could also confess her guilt with peace of mind, right? "Liao Haomiao, actually, I also want to tell you, back then I understand. You don't have to say it." Liao Haomiao raised his hand, stopping Zhu Tao from continuing. He knew very well what Zhu Tao wanted to say, and to him, it was not a big deal at all. He had never cared about it. "I know you want to apologize for dumping me back then, but I know it wasn't your intention. And we were both young at the time. Listening to our parents was important. It really wasn't the age for dating. So you did nothing wrong. Remember that." A faint blush appeared on Zhu Tao's cheeks, which, along with her dark eyes, made her look exceptionally beautiful. She lowered her head and replied in a small voice, "Okay." Zhou Hong nodded in satisfaction and said, "All right, isn't the problem solved? You two just lacked communication. In reality, neither of you was at fault." Liao Haomiao looked at him, his eyes filled with a certain helplessness, and said, "Thank you, but, brother, it seems like you were just threatening and intimidating me. Don't worry about that. But you can't deny that I played a big role. Someone had to help you take that step, just like someone helped me take that step back then." Zhou Hong looked at Min Gran beside him. They looked at each other and smiled, the tenderness in their eyes obvious. "That's true. But brother, back then I gently pushed you out. You just kicked me out." "Ha ha." Liao Haomiao's words made the others laugh, and Zhou Hong also scratched his head a little awkwardly. His way of treating Liao Haomiao had been a bit rough. It was a good thing Liao Haomiao reacted quickly. Anyone else might not have been able to keep up. During their meal together, the atmosphere became much more relaxed. However, Most of the time, it was Min Gran chatting with Zhu Tao. The two of them became more and more familiar, and gradually Zhu Tao also opened up, able to laugh happily with Min Gran. The relationship between Liao Haomiao and Zhu Tao was no longer so tense. During the meal, Liao Haomiao often put food on Zhu Tao's plate, which made her very embarrassed each time. After dinner, it was already dark outside, and everyone prepared to go home. Walking out of the shop, Zhou Heng patted Liao Haomiao's shoulder and said, "We're leaving now. Make sure you get her home safely. See you tomorrow." After saying that, he gave him a little push. Although it was a light push for Liao Haomiao, it was still a bit much. All right, I know." Liao Haomiao rubbed his shoulder, said goodbye to Zhou Heng and Min Gran, and then they parted ways. Liao Haomiao and Zhu Tao stood by the roadside, waiting for a taxi. There were no more buses at this time, so Zhu Tao had to take a taxi home. The distance between them had now shrunk to only a fist's width. Both Liao Haomiao and Zhu Tao were very happy, feeling as light as if a huge misunderstanding had been resolved. Today, being able to talk things out, I think it's great. Yeah, they chatted softly, the barrier between them seemingly gone from their words. It was clear that the distance between them had closed. When a taxi arrived and stopped in front of them, Zhu Tao showed a hint of reluctance. She turned to look at Liao Haomiao and said softly, "Well, see you." Before Zhu Tao could finish her sentence, Liao Haomiao walked out, opened the back door of the car, and got in. While Zhu Tao was in a daze, Liao Haomiao looked at her, waved, and said, "Come on, get in. I'll take you." He had decided from the very beginning to do this. After all, to ensure she got home safely, he had to accompany her the whole way, without any mishaps. Zhu Tao was surprised, mixed with a hint of pleasant surprise. She hadn't expected Liao Haomiao to actually take her home. She had only thought about it, feeling it would be too much trouble for him. How could she be so shameless? But even though she thought this in her heart, Zhu Tao still obediently got into the car without a word. At this moment, joy had overcome reason. She didn't know how to refuse Liao Haomiao, and she also knew that even if she refused, with Liao Haomiao's personality, he would still insist on doing it. "Thank you." After a moment, Zhu Tao said in a small voice. Liao Haomiao turned to look at her. It was very dark inside the car, so he couldn't see her expression, but he could see that her head was bowed. "It's nothing, this is nothing," Liao Haomiao replied softly. He was doing this because he wanted to, because he could spend a little more time with Zhu Tao. However, even though this was a perfect opportunity for them to be alone and for him to say a lot to Zhu Tao, at this moment, it felt like anything he said would be inappropriate. He would think it over several times in his head, wondering if it was appropriate to say it out loud. He wasn't like this before, was he? Didn't he say before that if he met someone he liked, he would just confess directly? Why couldn't he say it now? And before, he never worried about failure. If a confession failed, it didn't matter. This time, he was very worried that his confession would fail. This feeling, he hadn't felt it for a long time. It seemed he had only experienced this feeling with Zhu Tao. This is love, right? This is undoubtedly love. But is this love the same as the one he had for Min Gran before? It's definitely not the same. That love, he didn't even worry about failure, didn't worry about loss. He could let it go immediately, without any lingering feelings. And it only existed for a few short days. It was completely different from the feeling of loving Zhu Tao now, which had completely changed him. So, meeting true love really can change a person. "What did you say?" "Nothing. Nothing." Liao Haomiao shook his head. He had just been thinking and had muttered something to himself. Zhu Tao hadn't heard him clearly. She looked at Liao Haomiao quizzically, feeling that he was a bit strange. Had she done something wrong? Was it that her sense of distance with him made him uncomfortable? What was their relationship now? Were they friends? Now that they had talked things out, what was the result? Had they gotten back together? In an instant, Zhu Tao's eyes widened in surprise. She had just realized this point. She had never thought about what her relationship with Liao Haomiao was now. She was still acting the same as before, while Liao Haomiao's way of treating her had changed since they talked things out, like putting food on her plate, personally taking her home, and so on. These seemed to be things that only a boyfriend would do. So that means they've actually already gotten back together, and she just hadn't realized it? This. Zhu Tao was flustered for a moment. With this thought, it felt like every detail of Liao Haomiao's actions was verifying this guess. No wonder Liao Haomiao had been staring out the window earlier, lost in thought, and sighing from time to time. Was it because he was annoyed that she hadn't noticed they had already gotten back together, and that's why she was still maintaining a great sense of distance from him? I should give it a try. With this suspicion, Zhu Tao could no longer ignore the problem. If she had really hurt Liao Haomiao's feelings unintentionally, it would be irreparable. She didn't want to miss her chance again because of her own mistake. Having made up her mind, Zhu Tao glanced at Liao Haomiao and saw he was still looking out the window. The distance between them was about 20 or 30 centimeters. Zhu Tao slowly scooted her body over, shortening the distance considerably. She didn't dare to press right up against him because she hadn't yet verified if her suspicion was true. She didn't dare to act rashly, only daring to test the waters bit by bit. If her guess was right, Liao Haomiao should react. If she was wrong, then Liao Haomiao would likely remain indifferent. She moved a little more, and finally, her body touched Liao Haomiao's. Feeling it, Liao Haomiao turned to look at Zhu Tao and discovered that she had somehow moved closer, and her body was trembling slightly. Although the movement was small and not easily detectable, Liao Haomiao still noticed it with particular sharpness. "Are you cold?" Liao Haomiao asked, then raised the car window he had lowered. He took off his own jacket and draped it over Zhu Tao's shoulders. They were both wearing school uniforms, but Zhu Tao's was likely a bit thinner. Liao Haomiao suspected she had moved closer because she was cold. This. Zhu Tao looked at the jacket on her, her heart pounding. She was right after all. Wasn't this something a boyfriend would do? If they hadn't gotten back together, if they weren't a couple, why would he do this? Why would he show such care for a girl who wasn't his girlfriend? So, their current relationship was, in fact, that of a boyfriend and girlfriend. In that case, she should be able to get a little closer. Thinking this, Zhu Tao snuggled closer to Liao Haomiao, almost pressing against him. "Are you that cold?" Liao Haomiao was extremely surprised. He didn't expect Zhu Tao to be so cold that she needed to press against him. The temperature in the car should be fine, shouldn't it? He didn't feel cold without a jacket, and it was only a bit of chilly wind outside. Plus, they hadn't opened the windows. Could she have a fever? Is that why her body is cold? With this thought, Liao Haomiao wanted to use his hand to check Zhu Tao's temperature, to feel her forehead, and see if she had a fever. But he was practically leaning against the car door, making it inconvenient to use that hand. So, he could only use the hand that was next to Zhu Tao. He raised his arm, wrapped it around the back of Zhu Tao's head, and placed his palm on her forehead. Not hot. Liao Haomiao's fine brows furrowed slightly, his expression a little surprised. Her forehead temperature wasn't even as warm as his palm. It didn't seem like a fever. But in Zhu Tao's heart, Liao Haomiao's action was no different from holding her in his arms. Zhu Tao let out a soft hum, tilting her head toward Liao Haomiao, almost resting it on his shoulder. Liao Haomiao was a bit confused about what was happening, but seeing Zhu Tao so cold, he didn't hesitate. He held her as best as he could to warm her up. "This action of mine is a bit over the line, isn't it?" Liao Haomiao thought to himself. Right now, they were like a couple, hugging, with his jacket draped over Zhu Tao. But he hadn't confessed yet, had he? Weren't they still friends? Could friends do this? Never mind. It would be worse to make things too clear at this moment. He understood that much. At this moment, both of them wished time could stand still, but only about 5 minutes passed before the taxi arrived at its destination. Liao Haomiao paid the fare, and the two of them got out reluctantly. They knew that once they were out of the car, the countdown to their separation would begin. Even though they would see each other tomorrow, they didn't want a day to end so quickly. The two walked along the road at night, deliberately slowing their pace. Liao Haomiao looked at the surroundings and said softly, "You moved?" He still remembered walking Zhu Tao home when they were together before, and it wasn't here. Zhu Tao nodded and replied, "Yeah, to make it easier to get to high school, we moved over here. It's closer to school." That's good. Otherwise, commuting to and from school every day would be a hassle." Liao Haomiao nodded. His voice was very soft, but it was exceptionally clear in the quiet environment. Zhu Tao didn't reply, but her hands started to get restless. She remembered that in middle school, she and Liao Haomiao had only ever held hands. Now that they were together again, they should be able to hold hands again, right? She still remembered the feeling of holding hands for the first time. She had never forgotten it. Tentatively, Zhu Tao's hand touched Liao Haomiao's. But their hands touched and immediately pulled apart, as if there was an electric current. Your hand is so cold," Liao Haomiao said with some confusion. Then, without hesitation, he took hold of Zhu Tao's hand. Exclamation point. Zhu Tao really did feel as if she had been struck by a weak electric current. Her hand trembled slightly, as if she were shivering from shock. But Liao Haomiao interpreted all of this as shivering from the cold. He thought, no matter what, he was holding Zhu Tao's hand now. Zhu Tao didn't refuse, didn't resist. So, he should be able to take this opportunity to confess directly, right? I, Li. Liao Haomiao stammered, trying to express his feelings, but just then, from around the corner ahead, a flashlight suddenly shone on them. Little Tao, is that you? Why are you back so late? Mom. Hearing this voice, Zhu Tao was so scared she immediately pulled her hand back. Liao Haomiao was also startled, a jolt running through him, and he even took half a step back. This voice was a shadow etched into his mind. He still remembered the terrible feeling when Zhu Tao's mother had come to him, saying he would hinder her daughter's studies. Hearing this voice again brought back that feeling. The woman in front of them, holding a flashlight, looked at Zhu Tao with confusion. Zhu Tao was still wearing Liao Haomiao's jacket. With a flashlight's beam hit Liao Haomiao's face, he couldn't help but shield his eyes. Annie, being caught in such a situation, there was probably no need for an explanation. At this moment, Zhu Tao's heart was pounding like a drum, but her gaze was very firm. This time, she would absolutely not be separated from Liao Haomiao again due to family pressure. Zhu Tao took a step forward and said seriously, Mom, he's my boyfriend. This time, it wasn't just Zhu Tao's mother who was stunned. Even Liao Haomiao, standing beside her, was so surprised his jaw dropped. He hadn't even confessed. They hadn't confirmed their relationship. How did he become Zhu Tao's boyfriend? Could it be this was actually her confession to him? Liao Haomiao reacted quickly. Since Zhu Tao had already said it, whether it was true or not, he had to step up and play along. Otherwise, wouldn't he be throwing her under the bus? Liao Haomiao took a step forward, bowed respectfully, pushed up his glasses, and said in a low voice, Hello, Auntie. I'm Liao Haomiao. I'm Zhu Tao's boyfriend. Liao. Hearing this name, Zhu Tao's mother's brows furrowed instinctively into a tight knot, as if she were contemplating a very complex matter. Liao Haomiao's throat moved as he swallowed nervously. He knew there was a high probability that Zhu Tao's mother still remembered him. After all, it had only been 2 years. And Zhu Tao knew very well how deep of an impression the name Liao Haomiao had left on her mother. The many arguments she'd had with her parents during that time had all revolved around one person, Liao Haomiao. So she was very anxious now. She didn't know what her mother would do. But no matter what, she couldn't be as weak as she was 2 years ago. She was an adult now. She had the right to choose her own relationships. Besides, Liao Haomiao wasn't some bad guy or undesirable person. Zhu Tao's mother stared intently at Liao Haomiao's face, making him too scared to move or say anything. Then, she turned to look at Zhu Tao, her expression filled with helplessness. The powerlessness of a parent whose daughter wouldn't listen was on full display. It was as if she were watching her daughter ride off on the back of some punk's souped-up scooter, a suffocating feeling. Come home with me. Her mother didn't say much more, just beckoned for Zhu Tao to go home. She had previously promised Zhu Tao that as long as she could keep up with her studies, she wouldn't interfere after she became an adult. She had thought 2 years would be enough for her to forget, but she hadn't expected the girl's obsession to be so deep. Not only had she not forgotten, but she had also sought out this boy the moment she became an adult. This made her feel that all the ideological work she had done for the past 2 years had been in vain. But since the girl's studies hadn't fallen behind and her grades remained at the top of her class, she, as a mother, couldn't say much. Zhu Tao was actually already very happy inside. Her mother hadn't gotten angry, hadn't said anything bad about Liao Haomiao, nor had she made any judgment about the matter. She just told her to go home. This should prove that she wouldn't interfere in her and Liao Haomiao's affairs anymore, right? Zhu Tao turned her head to look at Liao Haomiao and said softly, then, I'll go home first. Be careful on your way back. See you tomorrow. Okay, sure. Liao Haomiao nodded and gave her a slight smile, even though he still didn't know if they had actually confirmed their relationship. But as long as Zhu Tao treated him as her boyfriend, he would treat Zhu Tao as his girlfriend. Then, Zhu Tao walked over to her mother's side, ready to go home with her. Her mother didn't leave immediately. Instead, she shone the flashlight on Liao Haomiao, making him shield his eyes again to avoid being blinded by the strong light. I say, young man, if you genuinely like Zhu Tao, you should focus on your studies. At the very least, you should be at a similar level to her, right? Liao Haomiao was slightly taken aback, somewhat surprised by Zhu Tao's mother's words. He had inquired about Zhu Tao's grades. She was around the top 20 in their year. For him to be at a similar level, was she asking him to drop his rank by more than 10 places? TSK. Mom, don't say any more. Zhu Tao grabbed her mother's arm in embarrassment, hurriedly whispering for her not to continue. How awkward would it be for her to say that, when his grades were now far better than hers? Zhu Tao's mother shook off her hand and looked at her, her voice growing louder. What? Am I not telling the truth? If two people's grades are unequal, won't the one with the poorer grades feel insecure? Won't they worry that the other person will one day run off with someone who studies better? She said this, of course, for Liao Haomiao to hear. Since she couldn't stop them from being together, she could only try to warn Liao Haomiao as much as possible to improve his grades. Zhu Tao's face was completely flushed. From her perspective, it felt as if her mother was talking about her. She did feel insecure. She did feel that the gap between her and Liao Haomiao's grades was a bit large, and she did worry that one day Liao Haomiao would choose someone with better grades, or someone more on his level. Liao Haomiao was also at a loss. But if he told the truth, Zhu Tao would be very embarrassed, wouldn't she? He didn't think this was something to brag about, so he just nodded and agreed. Yes, you're right, Annie. I will definitely study hard and strive to improve my grades. He scratched his head, and his humble appearance made Zhu Tao's mother feel much better. She found Liao Haomiao much more pleasant to look at. Perhaps it was because his appearance had changed. He wore glasses and looked much more mature, the scholarly type. He looked pleasing to the eye. Zhu Tao's mother nodded, her tone softening slightly. All right, it's getting late. You should hurry home. Don't let your parents worry. Okay, then I'll be leaving. Goodbye, and after speaking, Liao Haomiao waved goodbye to Zhu Tao again, then turned and left. Zhu Tao watched Liao Haomiao's back, muttering, why didn't he say anything? Say what? Zhu Tao's mother looked at her quizzically, then pulled her towards their home. Once they got back, she planned to have a long, 2-hour talk with Zhu Tao. Being pulled along by her mother, Zhu Tao was a bit dazed. Recalling Liao Haomiao's state just now, something seemed off. Mom, do you know about Beigao? I know of it, that high school in the north of the city. A regular high school. What about it? He's from that school. Did he pay his way in? Zhu Tao stopped in her tracks, looked intently at her mother, and said seriously, Mom, Liao Haomiao is the top student in the 3rd year at Beigao. He's held the #1 spot almost continuously since his 2nd year. In the last monthly exam, he was only 2 points away from a perfect score. Zhu Tao's mother's face was a canvas of question marks. Her expression as she looked at Zhu Tao was filled with confusion and disbelief, as if she couldn't understand what Zhu Tao was saying. Zhu Tao took out her phone and opened a photo that Liao Haomiao had sent her, his report card from the last monthly exam. She handed it to her mother. As her mother looked at it, her expression changed from solemn to surprised, and then slowly to horrified. Get it back here now. Mom, this. Zhu Tao was startled by her mother's loud shout. She quickly took her phone back and hid to the side, not knowing what had gotten into her mother. Her mother came over, gave Zhu Tao a push, and said anxiously, TSK, hurry up, go get him back. It's so late at night, we can't let him go back alone. We have to see him to his doorstep. If anything happens, his family will be at our throats. Oh, okay. Zhu Tao nodded blankly and quickly ran in the direction Liao Haomiao had left. Zhu Tao's mother stood there alone, stomping her foot in anxiety. Suddenly, she saw the flashlight in her hand and shouted, Hey, take the flashlight. The road is dark. TSK. Oh my. She clicked her tongue and spun around in place a few times, her face full of regret. How could she have known that the little boy she once looked down on was now so brilliant? She had thought he wore glasses from playing on his phone too much. Thinking about the thing she had just said to a top-ranked student made her want to die of embarrassment. Her own daughter's grades were not as good as his, yet she had said such condescending things. It was truly mortifying. By the time Zhu Tao caught up, she saw Liao Haomiao getting into a taxi and closing the door. Hey, Zhu Tao chased after it, but the taxi had already floored the accelerator and driven off. When she arrived, all she could see were its taillights. Zhu Tao gasped for breath. Running over had been exhausting, but even so, she hadn't caught up to Liao Haomiao. She could only turn and go back to her mother. When her mother saw Zhu Tao return alone, without anyone else, she had a worried look on her face. Is he angry? Won't he come back? That's not it. I didn't catch him. He left in a car. Zhu Tao shook her head, pointing behind her. That's a relief. I thought my words had made him angry. Zhu Tao's mother let out a sigh of relief, calming her racing heart. As they walked home together, Zhu Tao's mother spoke up. You two, are you really together? He doesn't hold a grudge. About what happened before? Yes, we are. But whether he cares or not, I'm not sure. He said he doesn't care. Zhu Tao recalled Liao Haomiao's words. Although he said the past was in the past, and that she wasn't at fault, nor were her parents, the more he said that, the more Zhu Tao felt she owed him a great deal. You guys just said, see you tomorrow? Are you going out with him tomorrow? Yes, we've arranged to go out and have fun tomorrow, with 2 other friends, Zhu Tao said, lifting the bag she was carrying. But when she remembered it contained a swimsuit, she didn't show it to her mother. I see. Well, Mom will give you some extra money tomorrow, and you can explain things to him. Apologize on my behalf or something. And what I said today, I didn't mean any harm. Mom, can you please try to change this habit of judging people based on their grades? No matter how good or bad someone's grades are, you should treat everyone the same. After all, they're not your child. No matter how poor their grades are, they're still their parents' good children at home. Zhu Tao couldn't help but lecture her mother. If she hadn't revealed Liao Haomiao's grades, her mother probably would still be looking down on him. She couldn't let Liao Haomiao suffer that kind of grievance again, so she had to make this clear. Now, she was the one reaching up. His grades were better now, not like before. Yes, you're right. Mom just hopes your future partner won't be too bad. Mom is just looking out for you. It's just that sometimes I go too far, don't I? Zhu Tao's mother was completely deflated now. Having been slapped in the face by a top-ranked student, his grades were so good, yet he was so low-key, not showing off at all. If her daughter hadn't told her the truth, she would still be in the dark. In terms of both grades and character, it seemed he had one. She was well aware of the weight a high school's top rank carried. Being first in elementary or middle school was nothing compared to this. The thought of such a child being her daughter's boyfriend, especially when she had previously gone to his house to make a scene and insult him. For a moment, she didn't know whether to be happy or upset. Seeing her mother concede, Zhu Tao, as her daughter, certainly couldn't say much more. Besides, she understood her mother's good intentions were all for her own good. It was just that her methods were wrong. Surely, she had learned a valuable lesson. Don't look down on anyone. Who knows if today's nobody will become tomorrow's legend. Liao Haomiao took a taxi home. He received a call from his mother when he was downstairs, but since he was already there, he didn't answer and went straight home. I'm back. After opening the door, Liao Haomiao announced his arrival. A woman walked out from inside, still holding a phone that was dialing. Seeing Liao Haomiao, she hung up the phone. Why are you back so late? Didn't you say you were going to your dad's place to have fun tomorrow? Yeah, I went with friends to buy swim trunks, and we had dinner out. Didn't I tell you? Liao Haomiao patted the shopping bag in his hand and walked in, changing into his slippers. His mother sighed, crossing her arms. How many friends? Don't tell me it's a girlfriend. At this, Liao Haomiao's expression turned awkward. He didn't know if she counted as his girlfriend. After what happened today, she should, right? Liao Haomiao's mother, seeing his reaction, knew she had guessed right. A look of helplessness crossed her face. Mom doesn't oppose you dating. You're so tired from studying, it's normal to want to date. But there's one thing you have to remember. What? That little girlfriend you had in middle school? You absolutely cannot get back with her. And you absolutely cannot get involved with a family like that. Liao Haomiao's eyes widened, his face a mask of utter shock, a reaction of being thoroughly frightened. What? What? No. What? Think about it. When you become a parent someday, could you tolerate another person's parents storming into your house and criticizing your child? So what if my son had bad grades back then? I can say it, but what give her the right? A family like that will only cause more trouble in the future. Absolutely not. What? Liao Haomiao was completely dumbfounded, stammering, unable to form a coherent sentence. He had just been basking in the joy of being with Zhu Tao. How had things taken such a turn in an instant? His own mother was against him being with Zhu Tao, just like Zhu Tao's mother had been back then. What was he to do? Mom, it's not that serious, is it? My grades are pretty good now, it should be. Liao Haomiao said softly, but seeing his mother's face darken, he ultimately trailed off. But his mother seemed to have already realized something. Her brows furrowed, and she took 2 steps forward. Liao Haomiao fearfully took 2 steps back, lowering his head, not daring to look his mother in the eye. In reality, he knew his behavior was already a dead giveaway. His mother wasn't stupid. She had probably already guessed what was going on. What are you thinking? Have you forgotten when her mother came to our house? She was just short of announcing the whole thing at school. Can't you have a little bit of pride? Still getting involved with her? Liao Haomiao was rendered speechless. He hadn't thought that far ahead. Thinking about it now, getting back together with Zhu Tao seemed to be a kind of harm to his own family as well. Seeing him so conflicted, Liao Haomiao's mother couldn't help but sigh, a helpless expression on her face. She knew her son too well, and for him to get back together with that girl after all this time was truly rare. If she were to forcibly break them up, wouldn't she be just like that girl's mother back then? Sigh. If you absolutely must be with her, fine. But there's one condition. Her mother has to come to our door and apologize. Hearing this, Liao Haomiao's jaw dropped in utter horror. No. How am I supposed to make her mother come and apologize? That's completely unrealistic, isn't it? I don't care. That's a mandatory condition. Otherwise, you'll just end up being bullied by their family again, you silly boy. I, Liao Hao Miao, finally returned to his room. At the same time, his phone buzzed with a new message. Liao Hao Miao opened it and saw it was from Zhu Tao. Are you home yet? Yeah, just got home. Liao Hao Miao quickly replied, but he didn't mention what his mother had just said. He felt that such a thing was completely impossible. Making her mother come to their house to apologize? That was absurd. If he said it, the two of them would probably break up again due to family issues. So he decided it was better not to say anything for now. He would delay things with his family as much as possible and then think of another solution. Thus, Liao Hao Miao changed the subject, chatting about other things, but he didn't talk about their relationship. He felt it wasn't a good time to make things too clear. The two of them chatted like this until they fell asleep, the content of their conversation gradually becoming more ambiguous. They both enjoyed this feeling, smiling as they lay in bed staring at their phones. The next day, everyone woke up early. After getting their things ready, they agreed on a meeting spot. Zhou Heng and Yin Mingran left the house and headed to the agreed location. Yin Mingran held Zhou Heng's hand, looked at his profile, and asked softly, "Do you think they'll make any progress today?" "I think it's unlikely. They both seem pretty timid. Neither dares to do anything. If you ask me, there will definitely be no progress today." Zhou Heng shook his head. Liao Haomiao's performance yesterday was there for all to see. He really didn't know how to evaluate it. It could be described as abysmal. So he was certain that there would be no progress today either. It would just be another day of them awkwardly hanging out together, and then it would be over. It can't be that bad, can it? I feel like that. Just as Yin Mingran was about to say something, her eyes caught a glimpse of something. She quickly pulled Zhou Heng to a stop, preventing him from going any further, and then pulled him to hide around a nearby corner. "What's wrong?" "Well, almost there." But Yin Mingran made a should gesture, telling him to be quiet. Although Zhou Heng didn't understand what was going on, he quickly shut his mouth and peeked his head out with Yin Mingran to see what was happening outside. When he saw the situation ahead, he finally understood why Yin Mingran had done that. It turned out there was a good show to watch. At their agreed meeting spot, Liao Hao Miao and Zhu Tao had already arrived. It was just the two of them, but they were standing very close. Although they weren't looking at each other, their hands weren't exactly behaving, as if they were tentatively trying to reach for the other's hand. Ooh, Zhou Heng's and Yin Mingran's heads, one above the other, watched this scene, their mouths forming an O shape. They certainly weren't going to walk out at this moment and ruin the couple's moment. It was obvious they needed some private space to take this step. Liao Haomiao's head was turned to the side, looking up and down, just not daring to look in Zhu Tao's direction, while his hand kept trying to reach toward her. To confirm their relationship, all he had to do was hold her hand, and if she didn't resist, it should be fine, right? That's what Liao Haomiao was thinking. Coincidentally, Zhu Tao was thinking the same thing. Her hand also kept wanting to reach out, but at the critical moment, it would always pull back. Just then, their fingers touched. They reacted as if they'd been zapped by static electricity, touching and instantly pulling apart. Ugh! Seeing this, Zhou Heng and Yin Mingran exchanged a look and smiled helplessly. They had thought the two were making rapid progress, but it turned out to be the same old story. They had the idea, but not the guts. Seeing that they didn't seem to be planning any more attempts, the two of them chose this moment to emerge. "Hello. Sorry to keep you waiting, we're late." Hearing him, Liao Haomiao turned to look at Zhou Heng, a hint of gratitude in his eyes, as if thanking Zhou Heng for appearing at this critical moment. He had realized the atmosphere was getting a bit awkward. If they hadn't shown up in time, he and Zhu Tao would have just been standing there, not knowing what to say or do. "Oh, okay. I'll just call the cab. It should be here soon." Liao Haomiao nodded. As he spoke, the taxi he had called pulled up beside them. Zhou Heng, being larger, sat in the front passenger seat, while Yin Mingran sat in the back with Zhu Tao in the middle. After everyone was in, they set off. After about an hour's drive, they finally arrived at their destination. There were many tourists on the weekend. The parking lot was full, and the entrance and ticket office were also packed with people. If they had to buy tickets normally, they would have had to wait in a long line. The group got out of the car, carrying their things, and stood beside the crowd of tourists, feeling a bit lost. "Liao Haomiao, are you serious? We can get in and play for free." Zhou Heng pointed at the scene in front of them, somewhat doubting Liao Haomiao's words. Liao Haomiao, however, appeared very calm. He nodded, taking out his phone to make a call as he said, "Yeah, my dad is the manager here. He can let family members in for free. I used to come here to play all the time and never pay for a ticket." As he spoke, the call was connected. Liao Haomiao said into the phone, "Hey, Dad, we're at the entrance. Can you come get us? You're not busy right now, are you? MMM. MMM. Okay, we'll wait for you. After speaking, he hung up. Zhou was a bit surprised and asked, Your dad is the manager here? Awesome, awesome. You must be sick of playing here by now, right? It's all right. At least I can guarantee that compared to other water parks, this place is quite clean. Otherwise, I wouldn't have come so many times. Liao Haomiao nodded and then waved towards the front. The group's gazes followed and saw a man in a suit walking over. Dad, over here. At Liao Haomiao's call, the man came up to them. Hello, uncle. The group quickly greeted. Zhu Tao's voice was softer and a bit timid, as if she were rather afraid of meeting Liao Haomiao's family. Oh, hello, so these are the kids. Whoa, this kid is quite sturdy, isn't he? Very good, very good. The man nodded with a smile. When he saw Zhou, he couldn't help but be taken aback for a moment. It was his first time seeing such a muscular high school student. Zhou gave an awkward smile, and Yin Mingran covered her mouth, unable to stop laughing. Then, the man's gaze swept over the group, finally lingering on Zhu Tao for a few seconds. He frowned slightly, but it was just for an instant before his expression relaxed. Come on, follow me. Then, the four of them followed Liao Haomiao's father, walking right past the long lines and into the park. The guards at the entrance saw Liao Haomiao's father and quickly opened the gate, greeting him. Hello, Manager Liao. Hello. Thanks for your hard work. Liao Haomiao's father took a cigarette case out of his pocket and offered cigarettes to the men at the entrance. Each of them accepted with both hands and a wide smile. Once inside, a beautiful building appeared before them. Besides the indoor water park, there was a large plaza outside where many tourists were taking pictures, strolling, going in and out of various shops, and eating. All right, call me if you need anything. Have fun. Liao Haomiao's father patted Liao Haomiao's shoulder. Okay, Dad, you go get back to work. Thank you, Uncle. Goodbye, Uncle. Then, he left first, leaving the four of them there. Liao Haomiao walked in front, pointing to the huge building ahead, and said, Let's go play inside first. There aren't as many people now. It gets crowded in the afternoon. When we've had enough fun in the afternoon, we can come out and play. Okay. The three of them followed Liao Haomiao to the indoor water park. Once inside, seeing all the attractions, Zhou nodded and exclaimed in admiration. It was his first time here, and it was indeed quite nice. There was a lot of foot traffic, but it wasn't so crowded that people were packed like sardines. The key was that it was indoors, so they didn't have to worry about the sun, and with the air conditioning on, it wasn't too cold when they got out of the water. The group arrived at the entrance of the changing rooms, ready to go in and change into their swimsuits, agreeing to meet at the entrance in a bit. Zhou and Liao Haomiao walked into the men's changing room, found a locker, and started changing. When Zhou took off his shirt, Liao Haomiao's eyes widened in utter shock. Holy cow, man, your physique is insane. Zhou looked down at his upper body. He actually felt he had lost quite a bit of muscle since Yin Mingran had moved in. I've just been training for many years. You can do it too if you stick with it. He said it casually, making it sound very simple, but Liao Haomiao knew very well that it required a long time and a lot of effort. The two of them quickly finished changing. Zhou wore longer board shorts, while Liao Haomiao wore regular swim trunks. Liao Haomiao had also taken off his glasses. After all, wearing glasses in there, they would get lost quickly. But being nearsighted, what he saw after taking off his glasses was rather blurry. Zhou looked at Liao Haomiao and asked, I say, are you planning to confess today? Huh? Is confessing at a water park a good idea? Zhou frowned and gently poked Liao Haomiao's chest, saying, Either accept her or keep your distance. Didn't you say that yourself? Either you confess today and be honest with her, or you're just regular friends. Keep a proper distance. Don't do this ambiguous stuff. Okay, you're right. Don't worry. Today, I'll definitely give you. No, wait. Today, I'll definitely give myself, and her, a clear answer. Liao Haomiao nodded repeatedly. He was a little traumatized by now. Getting a lecture from Zhou was really unpleasant. It would be fine if it were just a verbal lecture, but this guy had a habit of getting physical, and he hit hard. A slight misstep could leave him black and blue. That's more like it. Let's go. Zhou and Liao Haomiao walked out together. The girls hadn't come out yet, so they stood at the entrance of the changing room, waiting quietly. After a while, a pair of long, fair legs emerged from the changing room entrance first. Zhou recognized them at a glance. It was his girlfriend. Yin Mingran was wearing a high-waisted swimsuit that looked like a slip dress, which accentuated her waist and chest. The moment Yin Mingran walked out, it seemed as though many pairs of eyes turned to look at her. Seeing Yin Mingran's stunning figure, those eyes widened in great surprise. I'm here. In Min Gran saw Zhou Heng and waved as she trotted over, a smile on her face, looking full of youthful energy. Slow down, the floor is slippery, Zhou Heng said, smiling as he walked over. A group of people saw the beautiful girl walking towards the muscular man and quickly averted their gazes. They didn't want to cause any trouble. Liao Haomiao was still staring at the entrance of the changing room. After a moment, a figure timidly walked out. Zhu Tao was wearing a skirted swimsuit. Her figure wasn't as good as Yimingran's, so she hadn't chosen the same style. This outfit both visually enhanced her body lines and showed off the beauty of her legs. It suited her very well. Liao Haomiao watched Zhu Tao, who was looking down with a slight blush on her cheeks, and he was completely mesmerized. No matter what, he just liked Zhu Tao for who she was. At this moment, there was only one thought in his head. He absolutely could not let Zhu Tao become someone else's girlfriend. She had to be his girlfriend. When Zhu Tao stood in front of Liao Haomiao and saw he was still staring blankly, her cheeks burned a fiery red. She tugged at the hem of her skirt and said in a small voice, "Don't stare at me like that." Sorry. Liao Haomiao quickly averted his gaze, looking to the side, only then realizing how impolite he had been, staring at her the whole time. Since he wasn't wearing his glasses now, and he was nearsighted, he had to squint to see things clearly. Maybe that's why his gaze just now had seemed a bit creepy. Zhou Heng took Yimingran's hand and asked softly, "What do you want to play? I'll take you." There were so many facilities that playing them all would take more than a day, so picking a few would be enough. That one. Yimingran suddenly pulled Zhou Heng and pointed to the side, where you could rent float rings, and whispered, I can't swim." Then. Zhou Heng was taken aback for a moment, then took Yimingran to rent a float ring. Because Yimingran's figure was indeed quite good, a float ring that was too small wouldn't fit her. In the end, they had to rent a rather large one. When a float ring with a little yellow duck pattern was on Yimingran, Zhou Heng, for some reason, found the sight hilarious and couldn't help but laugh out loud. After laughing, Zhou Heng quickly covered his mouth and looked away in embarrassment, but Yimingran had still heard him clearly. "Hey, what are you laughing at?" Yimingran was mortified, her face flushed a vibrant red. She reached out and gently pounded Zhou Heng's arm a few times, but with that force and tone, it could only be described as pouting. "No, I just think you look like a little kid, like you're heading to the children's pool." Zhou Heng pursed his lips, tried his best not to laugh. He had meant to say Yimingran looked as cute as a little kid, but he might not have expressed it clearly. Yimingran's face grew redder and redder. She was the only one wearing a float ring, and Zhou Heng's reaction made her furious. Then, Yimingran turned and walked back to the float ring rental place. "Boss, rent me another one, the largest size." A few minutes later, the largest yellow duck float ring was on Zhou Heng. Zhou Heng looked bewildered, staring down at the float ring on his body. Because he had stretched the float ring, the eyes of the yellow duck pattern on it looked like they were squinting in mockery of him. Ha ha ha! Liao Haomiao held back his laughter, his facial features contorting, but in the end he couldn't help but burst out laughing so hard that tears welled up in the corners of his eyes and his mouth stretched to his ears. Zhu Tao also quickly turned around, her body trembling slightly, as if she couldn't hold back a secret laugh. After all, laughing in Zhou Heng's face would be too rude. With Zhou Heng's physique and build, wearing such a float ring created a truly impactful image. The scene was like a programmer's garbled code that somehow still ran, like a buff character in a game who bought a limited-time, silly-looking cosmetic item. It was a waste not to wear it, but it looked incredibly strange when worn. At this point, Zhou Heng's expression was one of utter despair. His eyes were glazed over, and he was speechless. "All right, darling, let's go play." Yimingran, on the other hand, was quite happy, her eyes smiling and sparkling with excitement as she took Zhou Heng's hand and walked off. Zhou Heng sighed, seeing that her mood seemed to have improved. He didn't say anything. As long as Yimingran was happy, this was actually pretty good. Zhou Heng didn't want Yimingran to be as timid as before, whether in life or in their relationship. Liao Haomiao and Zhu Tao stood there, watching the two of them leave, feeling a bit at a loss. Liao Haomiao looked at Zhu Tao and said, It's good for us to play separately. They're on a date, after all. We shouldn't disturb them." Zhu Tao nodded, agreeing with this. Although they had come together, it was better to play separately. "Then we should go play too." Okay. The water slide was arguably one of the most popular attractions. Zhou Heng and Yimingran waited in line for a long time to play. Since they weren't allowed to wear float rings, they both took them off first. Zhou Hong was quite happy about it, but Min Gran was a little worried. After all, at the bottom, she would fall into the water. Zhou Hong just comforted her with a "don't be afraid" and slid down first. After a long slide, Zhou Hong finally landed in the water with a plop. Before the lifeguard could help him up, Zhou Hong stood up on his own and then held up a hand to stop the lifeguard, saying, "Bro, step aside." The lifeguard was stunned. Before he could react, the next person came rushing down the slide. It was Min Gran. Without even wiping the water from his face, Zhou Hong reacted swiftly and quickly caught Min Gran. Min Gran fell into Zhou Hong's arms, not falling into the water at all. After she regained her senses, she looked at Zhou Hong, who had a slight smile on his face, and asked, "Was it fun?" "Yeah, it was fun." A joyful smile spread across Min Gran's face. She leaned against Zhou Hong's chest, her feet gently splashing the water. Zhou Hong knew she was afraid of water, so he had quickly caught her. Probably only Zhou Hong could have done that. The momentum from the slide was something an ordinary person couldn't really handle. The lifeguard at the side gave a slight twitch of his mouth, adjusted his cap, and walked away. "Let's go play something else." Okay. Min Gran had never thought of coming to a place like this before. After all, she couldn't swim. If it weren't for coming with Zhou Hong, she still wouldn't have wanted to come. But she hadn't expected Zhou Hong to be trying so hard to make sure she had fun, and she was indeed having a particularly good time because of him. Over on Liao Haomiao and Zhu Tao's side, things were considerably quieter. The two sat on an inflatable boat, preparing to go down a slide. Liao Haomiao sat in the back, while Zhu Tao carefully sat in the front. Liao Haomiao looked at the back of Zhu Tao in front of him and swallowed. Since Zhu Tao wasn't facing him, it wouldn't hurt to take a few extra glances, right? "Hold on tight, you two. Here you go." The staff member behind them pushed the inflatable boat down the slide, and it sped down. Zhu Tao cried out in surprise. Unprepared, her body tilted backward. The back of her head slammed with a thud, right between Liao Haomiao's legs. Liao Haomiao's heart suddenly leaped, his eyes bulging. "Oh my God!" Plop. The inflatable boat landed on the water surface and was pulled aside by a staff member. The two got off the boat. Zhu Tao turned her head to look at Liao Haomiao. When they came down, she seemed to have accidentally bumped into him, right? But she didn't know where she had hit him. She saw Liao Haomiao clamping his legs together, pigeon-toed, half bent at the knees, with his upper body leaning forward. His face didn't look good. It was a pale green, as if he'd been poisoned. His lips were also white and bloodless, and his body was trembling slightly, his hands twisted. What's wrong with you?" Was it me who hit you?" Zhu Tao quickly walked over, helped Liao Haomiao up, and walked with him as he limped. Her face was full of worry, but she didn't know where Liao Haomiao was hurting. Liao Haomiao shook his head repeatedly, gasping for breath. No, it's nothing. A mere trifle of pain is nothing. To me. But you look like you're in a lot of pain. Should we go to the hospital?" It's fine. That's not necessary. But let's just play in the pool for now. For the time being. Let's not play on these attractions." Liao Haomiao let out a breath, seeming to have eased up a bit. Just now, he had felt an excruciating pain, like he had just given birth. They didn't go to the large wave pool. There were still a lot of people there, and they were worried it might be dangerous. Plus, with more people, hygiene couldn't be guaranteed. So they went to a regular swimming pool. Although it was called a regular pool, it was big enough, not much smaller than a soccer field. There weren't as many people here, mostly children, so it was safer. When Liao Haomiao and Zhu Tao arrived, they found Zhou Hong and Min Gran were also there. Both of them had float rings on and were having a great time playing in the water. It was just that Zhou Hong felt like he couldn't quite catch his breath. The float ring felt like it was constricting his chest, making it a bit difficult to breathe, but seeing Min Gran so happy, he didn't say anything. "Hey there!" Liao Haomiao called out from a distance. Zhou Hong and Min Gran heard the voice and looked towards the edge of the pool, seeing Liao Haomiao and Zhu Tao. "Come on, get in and play." Min Gran waved at Zhu Tao, beckoning her to come play with them. "Coming," Zhu Tao replied, and got into the water with Liao Haomiao. Although she could swim, she wasn't very skilled. Liao Haomiao stayed by her side to protect her. Liao Haomiao came over to Zhou Hong, and seeing the float ring on him, he still couldn't help but chuckle. "You know, brother, it really suits you. Looks like you're having a good time." "What? Want to race me?" Zhou Hong lifted his chin and looked down at him. After being mocked like that, he definitely had to retaliate. If he had the guts, he could race him for a lap, and then they'd see who it suited better. Liao Haomiao wasn't that stupid. He waved his hand and said, "Don't be ridiculous. I'd die of exhaustion trying to outswim you." Tsh, Zhou Hong snorted. Since Liao Haomiao had backed down, he didn't plan to press the issue. He turned to look at Yin Mingran, and seeing her hugging the float ring, he said softly, "Want me to teach you how to swim? It's really easy. I'm a little scared." Yin Mingran was still a bit afraid of the water. It stemmed from a time when she was a child and had choked on water while playing. Ever since then, she had been somewhat resistant to swimming, afraid of choking again. That feeling was awful, and it could also be dangerous. Zhou Hong comforted her, saying, "It's okay, I'm here. Don't be afraid." "Well, okay then," Yin Mingran said, leaning forward. As a result, she pushed the float ring up, causing it to flip over in front of her, and her body lost its balance, and she pitched forward. "Ah!" she cried out. Fortunately, Zhou Hong was right in front of her. He quickly blocked her with his body, letting her fall into his arms. Otherwise, she might have flipped completely upside down, and with the float ring on, it would have been difficult to turn back over. "Whoa, be careful. Are you okay? Or maybe we shouldn't learn?" Zhou Hong held Yin Mingran's body, steadying her. At that moment, she felt like she had just survived a disaster, breathing rapidly. Hearing Zhou Heng's soft whispers in her ear, she finally calmed down. "No, I want to learn." Yin Mingran knew she had to overcome this. How could she not know how to swim? Out of the four of them, she was the only one who couldn't. As for the others, needless to say, Tang Ji was practically omnipotent. When the time came, she would be the only one who couldn't, watching others play while she could only hang around with a float ring. She didn't want that. So the more scared she was, the more she had to learn in order to catch up to Zhou Hong, Tang Ji, and the others. All right then, let's take off the float ring first. Even though she had made up her mind, she was still a little worried about taking off the float ring. But because she trusted Zhou Hong so much, she still took it off. Zhou Hong could also legitimately take his off. He felt like he could barely breathe with the float ring on. It had left a mark on his chest. The moment Yin Mingran took off the float ring, she immediately clung to Zhou Heng's body, her whole person practically hanging off him. I'm scared." Out of instinct, her legs also wrapped directly around Zhou Heng's waist, her body pressing right up against his. Zhou Hong felt Yin Mingran's soft body press against him, even wrapping around his waist, and he instantly felt a rush of blood. Don't be afraid. First, hold on to my hands," Zhou Hong whispered in Yin Mingran's ear. Zhou Heng's voice gave Yin Mingran a great deal of encouragement, so she slowly let go and reached for Zhou Heng's hands instead. Zhou Hong held her up firmly, and with the water's buoyancy, Yin Mingran floated up easily. Gradually, Yin Mingran felt less scared, mainly because the sense of security Zhou Hong gave her eased her worries. "Good, just don't panic, take it slow." Zhou Hong held Yin Mingran's hands and slowly backed away, allowing her to swim gently. "Wow, this is so fun." Yin Mingran also discovered the joy of it, like a child riding a bicycle with training wheels for the first time. And Zhou Hong knew that right now, the key was to let Yin Mingran get used to the feeling, to know what swimming felt like, and she would naturally learn. Off to the side, Zhu Tao watched this scene with envy in her eyes. She should have said she couldn't swim either. Then she could have had Liao Haomiao teach her. Just then, Liao Haomiao suddenly tapped her gently on the shoulder. When she turned around, she saw Liao Haomiao looking like he wanted to say something but was hesitating. He pointed to the edge of the pool and said, Want to take a rest for a bit? I have something I want to say to you." A little while later, Zhu Tao was sitting on a lounge chair in the rest area by the pool. Having just gotten out of the pool, she was shivering slightly. Although the venue had warm air conditioning, it was still a bit cold. Just then, a bath towel was draped over her shoulders. Zhu Tao looked up and saw Liao Haomiao sitting in the chair next to her. He had also bought a few bottles of water, placed them on the table, and handed one to Zhu Tao after opening it. The two of them sat by the pool, watching Zhou Hong and Yin Mingran having a great time playing in the water, a trace of envy in their eyes. The reason they couldn't play so carefree was because of the many barriers between them, the ambiguity of their relationship, and the obstacles from their families, which had led them to their current state. "Yesterday, you." After a moment, Liao Haomiao was the first to speak, breaking the silence. Hearing him, Zhu Tao turned to look at Liao Haomiao's profile, pursed her lips, and listened quietly. "Yesterday you told your mom that I was your boyfriend, but we haven't actually defined our relationship, have we?" "Yes, that's right." Zhu Tao nodded, agreeing with Liao Haomiao's point. No matter what she was thinking yesterday, the fact was that neither of them had said it out loud. "Yesterday, I said you were my boyfriend without your consent. I'm sorry." Zhu Tao took the initiative to apologize to Liao Haomiao. She was very clear about the current situation. She was definitely the one reaching up for him. With Liao Haomiao's top-ranked grades, his decent looks, and his father being the manager here, his family's financial situation was certainly very good. With these conditions, Liao Haomiao could have had much better options. She only had the advantage of having been in a relationship with Liao Haomiao before. Beyond that, she had no other capital to speak of. That's why she didn't dare to say anything or make any requests. What she did yesterday was already a very bold move for her. But Liao Haomiao didn't mind this kind of thing. On the contrary, he was very happy. At least the one who took the first step was Zhu Tao, not him. No, you don't need to apologize. I was very happy that you thought of me as your boyfriend. So what I want to say now is, Liao Haomiao paused, hesitating for a moment before slowly speaking. I want to make our relationship official now. Are you willing? Liao Haomiao's gaze was deep as he stared at Zhu Tao. Then he extended his hand. Zhu Tao was genuinely stunned for a moment, a flash of surprise in her eyes, her mouth slightly agape. She was only stunned for a few seconds. Then, her slightly pursed lips curved into a beautiful arc. She then extended her own hand and gently placed it in Liao Haomiao's palm. I am very willing. Oh! As soon as Zhu Tao's words fell, a series of cheers and light applause suddenly erupted from in front of them. The two looked ahead and saw Zhou Heng and Yiming Gran at the edge of the pool, watching them with smiles on their faces. Zhu Tao immediately lowered her eyes, her head drooping as well, but the tips of her ears quietly turned red, and her lips curved upwards, unable to hide her joy. Liao Haomiao saw that Yiming Gran no longer needed Zhou Heng's support and asked in surprise, You learned that fast. Zhou Heng raised his head proudly and said, Of course, my girlfriend is so smart. Is learning to swim that hard? Just as Zhou Heng finished speaking, Yiming Gran moved closer to him. Her pure brown, glass-like eyes stared at Zhou Heng as she said softly, It's because you're a good teacher. I'm still not very proficient yet, but I'll get better with practice. Zhou Heng gently brushed a strand of Yiming Ran's hair and said softly, Let's rest for a bit. Swimming is very tiring. The two of them got out of the pool. Liao Haomiao immediately tossed them 2 bath towels to wrap themselves in. Zhou Heng first draped one over Yiming Gran, then himself. After they sat down, Liao Haomiao asked, Are you guys hungry? I can call my dad to take us to eat. Zhou Heng's eyes widened in surprise. What? We get to play for free, and now you want your uncle to treat us to a meal? Let's not. We should just go eat by ourselves. He must be busy. It's not good to trouble him so much. I agree. Yiming Gran also chimed in, agreeing with Zhou Heng. Zhu Tao had the same thought and gently tugged on Liao Haomiao's arm, nodding at him. Is that so? All right then. Since they all said so, Liao Haomiao also chose to compromise. So, the group decided to go eat together. There were many snack stalls and restaurants here, with plenty of choices. Zhou Heng and Yiming Gran walked ahead, holding hands. Liao Haomiao and Zhu Tao walked behind. Liao Haomiao took the initiative to hold Zhu Tao's hand. Not only did Zhu Tao not resist, but she also squeezed his hand even tighter. After so many years, she finally held this hand again. This time, she swore she would never let it go again. Liao Haomiao saw that there was some distance between them and Zhou Heng's group, so he whispered in Zhu Tao's ear that, Let's not tell our families about us yet, okay? Hearing this, Zhu Tao's heart suddenly skipped a beat. She was stunned for a few seconds before she reacted. In an instant, a myriad of possibilities flashed through her mind, but she felt the most likely one was the reason they had broken up before. Zhu Tao's delayed response made Liao Haomiao a bit anxious, but he didn't know how to explain. He didn't want to say that his mother disapproved of their relationship. He couldn't bring himself to say it. It would surely hurt her feelings. And the condition his mother had proposed was even harder to say. Who could propose that his girlfriend's mother come to his house to apologize, saying it would undoubtedly put their relationship in a very awkward position? He could only use this as a delaying tactic for now, and then slowly think of a solution himself. I just think, it's better not to let our families know about our relationship for now, so they don't interfere. That way, we can get along better, right? Liao Haomiao gave a simple explanation. However, Zhu Tao didn't buy this explanation at all. She would never believe that was the reason, but she also would never call him out on it. She knew very well what the result of calling him out would be. Okay, I understand. Zhu Tao agreed verbally, but she had already made a mental note. This was definitely not a small matter. It was very likely that it could cause them to break up again. The 4 of them went to eat together, trying many of the snacks. The food here was generally very expensive, and the taste was mediocre, something everyone was used to. In any case, they were here to have fun. After eating, the group hadn't yet decided what to do next when Min Gran already had an idea. She had learned to swim today, found it very interesting, and wasn't quite done with it yet. So she asked Zhou Heng, "I want to go swimming again, can I?" "Of course you can. Let's go, let's play some more." Zhou Heng agreed without hesitation and went back to the pool with her. Liao Haomiao also looked at Zhu Tao and asked, "Are you going? Or should the two of us go play something else?" Zhu Tao nodded and said, "Either is fine. I'll listen to you." "Then, let's go too. Those attractions aren't that fun anymore, and we'd have to wait in long lines. Queuing is tiring." "Okay." So the four of them returned to the pool once again. Zhu Tao and Min Gran got in the pool to play, while Zhou Heng and Liao Haomiao sat by the side, ready to talk about some things. Zhou Heng saw that Min Gran could already move about freely in the pool, so he was no longer worried. He looked at Liao Haomiao and asked, "I see. Zhu Tao's mood seems a bit off. Did you say something to her? Aren't you two together now?" Liao Haomiao hadn't expected Zhou Heng to ask this question. He scratched his head awkwardly and said, "There's a small problem. But it's okay, I'll handle it. It just needs some time." He leaned back on the lounge chair, pinching the bridge of his nose. He felt like his head was about to explode. He said it was okay, but in reality, he had no clue what to do. Zhou Heng also leaned back on his lounge chair, looking at Min Gran in the distance, and said softly, "If you need help, just let me know. Don't worry, I'll try not to be polite with you. In return, if you need me for anything, just ask." "Got it." The two chatted idly. Zhou Heng could clearly feel that Liao Haomiao's state had relaxed a lot, probably because confirming his relationship with Zhu Tao had released him from a state of tension. After a while, Zhou Heng noticed something was off with Min Gran, who had swum to the far side of the pool. She had been swimming well just now, but now her movements seemed a bit chaotic. Zhou Heng frowned, instantly sitting up from his lounge chair, staring intently at Min Gran in the distance, his expression grave. He had a bad feeling. At this moment, Zhu Tao was also far from Min Gran and hadn't noticed the situation over there. The next second, Zhou Heng saw Min Gran suddenly turn around, look towards him, and then raise her hand high, as if trying to shout something. "Zhou." But before Zhou Heng could hear anything, he watched with his own eyes as Min Gran's body sank straight into the water. "Min Gran." Zhou Heng shot to his feet, shouting. His voice practically echoed through the entire venue, attracting everyone's attention. Liao Haomiao beside him was so scared he sat bolt upright. Zhu Tao also quickly turned to look, but she couldn't see Min Gran's figure anywhere. Swoosh! In an instant, Zhou Heng's figure shot past Liao Haomiao, his speed shockingly fast. Then he took a running leap and dove directly into the pool. Splash! Zhou Heng's body created a huge splash, spraying water on other people. Liao Haomiao quickly stood up, his brows nearly knitting together, but he had no idea what had happened. Zhu Tao also quickly swam in Zhou Heng's direction to help him. After diving into the pool, Zhou Heng hardly surfaced, swimming underwater the whole time. He was like a fish, twisting his body and swimming rapidly towards the distance. He squinted, trying to see clearly in the pool. Soon he saw Min Gran. She had already sunk to the bottom of the pool, her hands tightly covering her mouth and nose, but bubbles still occasionally escaped, which meant she couldn't hold on for much longer. Zhou Heng could tell at a glance that Min Gran seemed to have a leg cramp. That's why she couldn't swim. He then realized he had made such a rookie mistake. He hadn't even had Min Gran warm up properly. As a novice, she wasn't a good swimmer to begin with, and her movements were sometimes improper, making it easy to get a cramp. Min Gran didn't dare to open her eyes. She felt her consciousness slowly fading. She no longer cared about the pain in her leg. Compared to the suffocating feeling of drowning, it was nothing to worry about. Zhou Heng. In her heart, at this moment, there was only Zhou Heng. Never before had she needed Zhou Heng so much. Her consciousness was already unclear, and her hands covering her mouth and nose had loosened. She couldn't move at all, so her brain initiated a final emergency measure, controlling her body to struggle a few times underwater. All of this was unconscious. Just then, Zhou Heng appeared by Min Gran's side in the nick of time. He didn't hesitate. Before getting in the water, he had taken a huge breath. After approaching Min Gran, he pressed his mouth directly onto hers. Mouth to mouth, he gave Min Gran air underwater. Even though he knew this was barely effective, that giving air underwater in TV dramas was unrealistic. At this moment, she needed oxygen, not the carbon dioxide a person exhales. Moreover, it could easily put the rescuer in danger. But he couldn't care about that now. He absolutely could not let anything happen to Gran. Even if this method was not very effective, he had to try, as long as it could help even a little. The underwater air transfer lasted only a second. After that, Zhou pulled Gran and swam toward the surface. Fortunately, the pool wasn't that deep. A few seconds later, Zhou forcefully lifted Gran's body, getting her head above the water immediately. Zhu Tao saw where they were and quickly swam over. By now, Gran was unconscious, her head lolling, unable to lift it. Gran, Zhou. She was also extremely worried and, at the same time, felt incredibly guilty. Why hadn't she stayed with Gran just now? If anything happened to Gran, she would blame herself for the rest of her life. Liao Haomiao also swam over to help. He had come over as fast as he could and, together with Zhu Tao, grabbed Gran and brought her towards the edge of the pool. The people at the edge also helped, pulling Gran up onto the deck. After they all got out, Liao Haomiao realized that Zhou hadn't come up yet. Zhou, Liao Haomiao shouted. At that moment, Zhou hand reached out and grabbed the edge of the pool. He forcefully pulled his body out of the water. As soon as he was out, Zhou began to cough violently, spitting out a lot of water. Blah! Cough! Cough, cough, cough! Cough, cough, cough. As Gran spat out the water, she slowly opened her eyes. Hey, she's awake. At the same time, her hearing gradually returned, and she heard the voices around her. After opening her eyes, the first thing she saw was Zhou face. He looked extremely tired, gasping for breath. The fear in his eyes slowly receded as their gazes met, and a smile crept onto his lips. Gran found herself lying in Zhou arms, covered with a bath towel. She wanted to say something, but couldn't, and she began to cough violently again. Just then, Zhu Tao's figure appeared before her and said, "Don't talk yet. Don't get excited. Just breathe slowly." Gran steadied her breathing and recalled what had just happened. She was terrified. She had almost died. She had been saved by Zhou again. Without Zhou, she didn't know how many times she would have died. Zhou. Once she felt she could speak, Gran called Zhou name first. Her voice was weak. She was already trying her hardest to make a sound. I'm here, don't be afraid. Zhou hugged Gran's body tightly, letting her feel his warmth. Gran curled up in Zhou arms and closed her eyes. Only this could calm her racing heart. Just then, Liao Haomiao's voice came from the side. Whoa, that was so close. If Zhou hadn't given you CPR and mouth-to-mouth for so long, it would have been hard to say. Mouth! Gran's eyes shot open, her face filled with shock. Her heart, which had just calmed down, began to race again. She and Zhou had only kissed on the cheek or forehead. They had never kissed on the lips. She had even fantasized about waiting for a romantic opportunity to take the initiative and kiss Zhou lips. But now, her and Zhou first kiss was actually artificial respiration. She had been unconscious. She hadn't felt a thing. Zhou scratched his head awkwardly and explained. The situation was rather urgent at the time. She had been unconscious. She hadn't felt a thing. Gran now realized she had been ripped off, big time. Her and Zhou first kiss was so unceremonious. This was even more upsetting than almost drowning. Wah! The next second, Gran actually burst into tears, which streamed down her face. The three people beside her were dumbfounded. But thinking about what she had just been through, they all understood. It was normal to cry. But none of them knew that Gran's crying wasn't because of the drowning. After such an incident, they didn't plan to continue playing. They changed their clothes and left. After wandering around the plaza outside for a while, they prepared to go home. It was mainly because Gran was not in a good state. Aside from the accident, they had actually had a lot of fun today, especially Liao Haomiao and Zhu Tao, who had now made their relationship official. It could be said they had perfectly achieved their goal. In the end, they said their goodbyes and went their separate ways. Zhou and Gran also went home together. After getting home, Gran sat on the sofa, hugging her knees, her head lowered, with a sorrowful look on her face. Zhou didn't dare to ask anything, because Gran had been in this state all afternoon. Zhou assumed she had been frightened, so he didn't disturb her, letting her have some quiet time alone while he went to the side to study. But after a long time, when it was already dark outside, Zhou saw that Gran still hadn't improved, and he felt that something was not right. At a time like this, if he, as her boyfriend, didn't go and say something, he would be too incompetent. Jo Hung cautiously walked over to Min Gran and called out gently, Min Gran? But after calling 2 or 3 times, Jo Hung received no response. Min Gran didn't look up. As he got closer, Jo Hung heard her even breathing. He knelt down and looked at Ran's face, discovering she had her eyes closed. It turned out she had fallen asleep. But thinking about it, it made sense. She had been in most danger today and was the most tired. Coming back and relaxing on the sofa, she would naturally fall asleep quickly. Jo Hung had a sudden realization. No wonder he hadn't heard Ran's voice. But Jo Hung couldn't let her just sleep on the sofa. So he extended his arms and slowly picked up Ran's body. Then he walked into the bedroom. Just as Jo Hung gently placed Min Gran on the bed and was about to get up, Ran's arms suddenly shot up. Before Jo Hung could react, he was embraced around the neck by Min Gran. He saw Min Gran slowly open her eyes, staring at him, with what seemed to be glistening teardrops in the corners of her eyes. Don't go. Ran's thin lips parted, and in a slightly hoarse, choked-up voice, she uttered 2 words. Jo Hung felt a tingle run through him in an instant. His heart melted. Okay, I won't go. Jo Hung nodded, reached out his hand, lowered his head, and hugged Ran's body. Are you still scared? Jo Hung asked softly in Ran's ear. But Min Gran shook her head and responded in a small voice. No, I wasn't scared at all. Because you were there, I wasn't scared. Huh? Then why were you? Jo Hung was stunned for a moment, looking at Min Gran with a bewildered expression. He had thought Min Gran must have been terrified, which was why she had been so silent all afternoon. Min Gran pursed her lips, looking aggrieved, and slowly began to speak, stammering. Because you gave me artificial respiration. That was our first kiss. I didn't feel it. I didn't experience it. I don't know when the next time will be. Jo Hung was suddenly taken aback, blinking, his eyes filled with disbelief. He never thought that this was why Min Gran was so dejected. Why? Min Gran looked as if she was about to cry again, but Jo Hung laughed, letting out a soft snort. Artificial respiration? What kind of kiss is that? It doesn't count. I know when the next one is. It's right now. After speaking, Jo Hung lowered his head and kissed Ran's thin, tightly pressed lips, which were rosy yet pale. 2 soft lips pressed together. MMPH. Min Gran was stunned for a moment. Then a shy light appeared in her eyes. Her hands once again climbed up to Jo Hung's neck, responding enthusiastically as she closed her eyes. Jo Hung supported Ran's waist with one hand and wrapped his other arm around her neck, deepening the kiss. Min Gran was kissed until she was breathless. The quiet space allowed hormones to run rampant. As if using all the strength of his life, he held her soft body tightly. Her fingers curled, gripping and wrinkling the bedsheets. After a long time, the two reluctantly separated, gasping for breath. Ran's face was extremely red, her enamored eyes fixed on Jo Hung. Satisfied? After a moment, Jo Hung slowly spoke and asked. Min Gran nodded repeatedly, her small tongue darting out to lick her moist lips. Satisfied. School life gradually returned to a peaceful routine. The students were all studying hard for the next exam, and Jo Hung and Min Gran were no different. Their days were dominated by studying, and they no longer went out on weekends, choosing to study at home instead. Their relationship, however, grew better and better, occasionally punctuated by a passionate kiss. Beyond that, they hadn't taken the next step, as they had an agreement, and Jo Hung didn't want to break it. More than 20 days passed like this, leading up to the next monthly exam. Jo Hung was much more confident this time, so he took the test with ease, feeling no tension at all. In contrast, Min Gran was very nervous because she wanted to do even better. She wanted to be first in the grade. A day or 2 passed after the exams. On the night before the results were to be released, Min Gran and Jo Hung were lying in bed. Min Gran leaned against Jo Hung's chest, playing on her phone and chatting with Tang Ji, while Jo Hung played a mobile game. The two were very comfortable. Just then, a notification popped up on Ran's phone screen. Seeing the message, Ran's eyes widened in surprise. Sweetie, are you guys done with your exams? Min Gran quickly replied, Yes, Mom. The results will be out tomorrow. The message was from Lu Wei, Jo Hung's mother. Since the last monthly exam, Lu Wei hadn't said much to her. This was their first contact in a month, and during that month, she and Jo Hung had gotten together, and a lot had happened. But it seemed her mother didn't know about this yet. After a while, Lu Wei replied, Okay, I'll come to your place tomorrow to wait for the good news and give you your living expenses. By the way, I'll take you to see the new place. I've rented a new apartment for you. That other one is too small. In Min Gran looked at the message on the screen, then turned and handed the phone to Zhou Hong, saying, Mom sent a message. Take a look. Zhou Hong frowned slightly, glanced at it, and nodded. That's great. This place is a bit small for the two of us. It's good to move. Then, if we move to a new place, will there be 2 bedrooms? Then we... Min Gran trailed off. Her biggest worry was sleeping separately from Zhou Hong. She had been sleeping with him for over a month now and had grown dependent on it. If she couldn't sleep with Zhou Hong at night, she would surely suffer from insomnia. Zhou Hong smiled faintly and gently pinched Min Gran's cheek. Of course we'll still sleep in 1 bedroom, silly girl. Hearing Zhou Hong's words, Min Gran's face lit up with joy, and she felt relieved. Hee, okay. Min Gran chatted a little more with Lu Wei before ending the conversation. It was only then that Zhou Hong realized a very important issue. Since his mother was coming tomorrow, should he tell her about his relationship with Min Gran? If he didn't, would they have to pretend not to be a couple and keep their distance tomorrow? With this doubt in mind, the two turned off the lights and drifted off to sleep. The next day at school, after sitting down, Zhou Hong told Tang Ji about the matter. What? Annie is coming today. Yeah, the grades are a small thing. The key is, should I tell her about my relationship with Min Gran? Zhou Hong sighed helplessly, feeling a bit troubled. Tang Ji, however, didn't think it was anything to worry about. She shrugged and said, you can tell her or not. Either way, Annie is very smart. Even if you don't tell her, she'll definitely find out, believe it or not. Zhou Hong nodded silently, rubbing his chin and muttering, you're right. In that case, I might as well be upfront about it. It should be fine, right? Oh, you should. Zhou Hong looked at Tang Ji and continued. You come with us tonight. With you there to back me up and say some good things, it'll be easier for me to say it directly. I don't mind, whatever. I don't have anything going on tonight anyway. In the afternoon, the results of the monthly exam were released. The report cards were handed out to everyone. Zhou Hong glanced at his and saw his ranking. He couldn't help but be surprised. He knew he would improve more this time. He could feel it from how he answered the questions. But he hadn't expected to improve this much. Last time, he ranked 168th in the grade. This time, he was 89th. He had broken into the top 100. You have to remember, before the last monthly exam, he was 233rd in the grade. That was near the bottom. In nearly 2 months and 2 monthly exams, he had entered the top 100. The teachers had told them that as long as you were in the top 100 and your studies didn't slip, barring any accidents, a bachelor's degree was basically secured. Whoa, awesome. Annie is going to be ecstatic now, isn't she? Tang Ji was even more amazed after seeing Zhou Hong's results, giving him a thumbs up. Tang Ji looked at her own results, second in the class, and her grade ranking had risen from 6th to 3rd. She wasn't surprised by this result at all, just smiling faintly. The reason she was focusing more on her studies was because of Min Gran's influence. She wanted her grades to be closer to Min Gran's. The most nervous person was Min Gran. After getting her report card, she covered it with her hand, wanting to reveal it little by little. But before she could move her hand, their homeroom teacher, Mr. Wang, walked in with the results list, his face blooming with a smile. He walked up to the podium. Coolme, let's give a round of applause for our class president, Min Gran. Congratulations to her for becoming first in the grade. Clap, clap. In an instant, the classroom erupted in warm applause. Min Gran was stunned for a moment, then moved her hand away and looked at the first column, her grade ranking. It really was first. Yeah. A sweet smile spread across her face, and she let out a cheer of genuine happiness. The next second, she turned to look towards Zhou Hong and Tang Ji. Her smile as radiant as a flower. Both Zhou Hong and Tang Ji were happy for her, smiling and clapping. A look of pride appeared on Zhou Hong's face. After all, Min Gran was his girlfriend. His girlfriend being first in the grade was even better than being first himself. It would earn him incredibly envious looks from others. Mr. Wang also looked at Zhou Hong and continued. There's one more person, Zhou Hong, who has made huge progress. He deserves praise. The first person to applaud Zhou Hong was Min Gran. She turned to look in his direction, her smile like a blooming flower. Mr. Wang looked at Zhou Hong with a satisfied nod. Now he knew that Zhou Hong hadn't lied to him back then. Being with Min Gran really didn't affect their studies. On the contrary, it led to great improvement for both of them. Although Zhou Hong had improved a lot, Min Gran becoming first in the grade was actually more difficult. After all, the higher the rank, the harder it is to climb. Almost everyone knew that surpassing Liao Haomiao was as difficult as reaching for the sky. After class, Mr. Wang's entire demeanor was different. His happiness was written all over his face. After all, his class had 2 of the top 5 students in the grade, and the class president, Min Gran, had even become number 1. His was now the undisputed best class. Finally, he wouldn't have to see that smug look on the face of Class 1's teacher. When Mr. Wang left the classroom after class, he walked with his chest out and head held high. Zhou Heng and Min Gran could also see the teacher's joyful state. They were glad to have finally won some glory for their teacher, considering it a small way of giving back. However, studying was ultimately for oneself, not for the teachers. TSK. HSSS. After class, Zhou Heng stared at his report card, scratching his head in some distress. If this were the him from a few months ago, he would have been ecstatic with this result, immediately going on a gaming binge and splurging on in-game purchases. After all, he used to be at the bottom of the grade, and now he had a chance to get into a university. He was already an upper mid-tier student in the class, but now he felt immense pressure. First in the grade, Min Gran, his girlfriend. Second in the grade, Liao Haomiao, his good friend. Third in the grade, Tang Ji, his cousin. The top 3 in the grade were all the people closest to him, yet he was 89th. The gap was just too big. At his rank, climbing higher would be difficult, especially entering the top 20, where everyone was separated by just a few points that were incredibly hard to overcome. As soon as class was over, Min Gran stood up and came over to Zhou Heng, saying excitedly, "Zhou Heng, you've improved so much this time. Mom will definitely be very happy." She had thought Zhou Heng would be very happy too, but looking at his expression, he seemed a bit worried. Min Gran was a little stunned and subconsciously glanced at Tang Ji next to her. Tang Ji shrugged and said nonchalantly, "He's anxious. His girlfriend is number 1 in the grade, so the pressure's on." Zhou Heng turned his head to look at Tang Ji with a helpless expression, sucking in a breath. "HSSS. Could you not analyze my thoughts so clearly?" Tang Ji placed a hand on Zhou Heng's shoulder and smiled slightly. "Can't help it. Your thoughts are too easy to analyze." "Oomph." Zhou Heng ignored her and turned to Min Gran, a smile in his eyes as he said softly, "You're the one who should be happy. We'll celebrate properly for you tonight." Zhou Heng reached out and gently patted Min Gran's head, his voice as gentle and smooth as clear, flowing water. Min Gran lowered her head, a sweet smile on her small face. She felt this was the best reward she could receive. Without Zhou Heng's praise, even being number 1 in the whole school wouldn't make her happy. Tang Ji watched this scene from the side, her mouth slightly agape as she shook her head. Perhaps the biggest difference between Min Gran and a cute puppy was that she couldn't wag her tail. So happy just from a head pat. She had never noticed Min Gran was like this before. Even if she had a good personality and was popular, she wasn't this docile, was she? Or had she changed after getting together with Zhou Heng? "You too. You did great. You've worked hard during this time. Take a good rest for a while now." Min Gran also responded softly. They could only maintain a certain distance and exchange these words. Apart from Zhou Heng patting her head, there was no other physical contact. After all, they were at school, in the classroom. They couldn't do anything too excessive, or it would be a slap in Mr. Wang's face. Tang Ji sighed to herself. Although the two had shown off their affection in front of her countless times, she still wasn't quite used to it. It was mainly because she was too familiar with Zhou Heng. She knew all his different states, except for this one when he was in love, which was too foreign. Seeing it only made her feel disbelief, so she was still slowly getting used to it. "I say, shouldn't you two go check on that Liao Haomiao? He dropped from 1st to 2nd in the grade." Reminded by Tang Ji, it suddenly dawned on Zhou Heng and Min Gran. They paused, glanced at each other, and then immediately got up and walked out of the classroom. Seeing them leave, Tang Ji let out a breath of relief. Finally, she didn't have to face this lovey-dovey couple. Zhou Heng and Min Gran arrived at the entrance of Class 1. Standing outside, they looked into the classroom, searching for Liao Haomiao. But Liao Haomiao's seat was empty. Zhou Heng stopped a male student who was walking out. "Hey, classmate, let me ask, where's your class president?" The student jumped, startled at being grabbed, and was even more startled when he saw it was Zhou Heng. They all knew their class president and Zhou Heng were good friends. Liao Haomiao was already intimidating with his brilliant mind, and now he had a friend as strong as an ox. When those two were together, no one dared to strike up a conversation. When they walked side by side in the hallway, everyone else had to make way. Our class president went out as soon as class ended. He probably went to the bathroom. "Oh, thanks." Zhou Heng let him go, and the student immediately turned and went back into the classroom. In Gran looked at Zhou Hong, who was also frowning slightly, a worried look in his eyes. Don't tell me. He couldn't handle the drop and went to the bathroom to cry. Zhou Hong looked at In Gran beside him and said in a low voice. Liao Haomiao was only 2 points behind In Gran. Before this, Liao Haomiao had dominated the #1 spot for a very, very long time. He had been #1 since the start of their second year, never surpassed, his position unshakable. And now, in the second monthly exam of their third year, he was overtaken. That feeling definitely wasn't good. In Gran shook her head and replied, I don't think so, right? Does he have to be #1? I feel like there's not much difference in the top 10 of the grade. They all have a chance at a top-tier university. Not necessarily. After being #1 for so long, to suddenly drop to second, only he can truly understand that feeling. I'll go to the bathroom to check on him. Zhou Hong walked into the men's bathroom alone and looked around, searching for Liao Haomiao. Finally, he spotted him in a corner. He was squatting there, his back to Zhou Hong. Zhou Hong didn't know what he was doing, but he wasn't using the toilet since his pants were still on. Is he really crying? Zhou Hong was a bit surprised, thinking to himself, has Liao Haomiao really been hit that hard? Hiding in the bathroom to cry in secret? Zhou Hong tiptoed over, peeking his head out to see what Liao Haomiao was doing. But as he got closer, he heard the tap-tap-tap of typing. When he saw clearly, he found Liao Haomiao squatting there, holding his phone and typing furiously, chatting with someone. Smack! Zhou Hong slapped him on the back. Liao Haomiao jumped in fright. With the speed of a conditioned reflex, he instantly turned off his phone, hid it behind his back, and stood up. When Liao Haomiao saw that the person who hit him was Zhou Hong, he couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. Damn, it's you. You scared me. I thought the Dean of Discipline was here. What's up? Liao Haomiao patted his chest, looking as if he'd just had a scare, then openly took out his phone and continued chatting in front of Zhou Hong. What's up? Zhou Heng's brow furrowed. He reached out and snatched the phone from Liao Haomiao's hand. While Liao Haomiao was still in a daze, Zhou Hong pointed at him and said, How can you be so carefree? You've dropped from first to second. I thought you'd be crushed, but you're hiding in the bathroom playing on your phone? Chatting with your girlfriend? Zhou Hong raised his hand as if to slap Liao Haomiao. Liao Haomiao immediately raised his arms to block, but Zhou Hong was just posturing to scare him. He wouldn't really hit him. Liao Haomiao and Zhu Tao had been together for almost a month, and their relationship was stable. They even went on secret dates on weekends, each hiding it from their families. Zhou Hong hadn't thought much of it, figuring that if even someone like him wasn't affected by a relationship, then Liao Haomiao certainly wouldn't be. But he never expected Liao Haomiao to have reached this point. His once insurmountable grades now surpassed, and yet he seemed completely unconcerned, hiding in the bathroom to chat with his girlfriend. If this continued, Liao Haomiao's grades would surely plummet, and there would be no stopping it. He would be repeating his past mistakes. What's the difference between first and second? It just were 2 points. There's no reward for first and no punishment for second. This is just a monthly exam. It'll all be the same come the college entrance exam. Liao Haomiao lowered his head and muttered a rebuttal, but he was still a little afraid that this guy Zhou Hong would actually hit him. Even if it was just playful, he couldn't take it. Zhou Hong was so angry he held his forehead, saying helplessly, Of course first and second are both fine. But with this attitude, can you guarantee you'll get these kind of grades next time? Remember, you work your butt off to get these grades. You're the best student I've ever seen, but you're not a genius. Liao Haomiao was at a loss for words after Zhou Heng's lecture, his mind blank, speechless. Zhou Hong returned the phone to Liao Haomiao and continued, You're very smart, otherwise you wouldn't have reached #1 in the grade in such a short time. But you're not a genius in the end. If you stop working hard, you'll only go downhill. I've only ever seen one genius. While you were studying day and night, she was just playing games, and with just a little review, she could get results close to yours. Now, even the genius is working hard, and yet you... Zhou Hong said, just enough to make his point. There was no need to be too harsh. Liao Haomiao nodded, as if he understood Zhou Heng's words. He put his phone away and said, Oh, you're talking about Tang Ji, right? I can't compare to her, I know that. Back in our second year, I snatched the #1 spot from her. I know very well that it wouldn't be hard for her to surpass me. Zhou Hong also remembered that Tang Ji had been #1 in their second year, but only once. It seemed it was because the test was particularly difficult, and everyone's scores were poor, but for Tang Ji, it wasn't as hard. After that, Tang Ji had consistently maintained a rank around 20th, neither advancing nor falling behind. It was only now in their third year that she was gradually putting in effort and once again reaching the top. Zhou Hong patted Liao Haomiao's shoulder and continued, I'm not asking you to compare yourself to Tang Ji, but to yourself. This time, you didn't beat your previous self. It's not a big deal as long as you don't lose every time. Zhou Heng's underlying meaning was for Liao Haomiao not to let his grades slide any further. If he continued like this, all his previous hard work would be for nothing. His grades would just slip bit by bit, and by the time he faced the college entrance exam, it would be a total disaster. Liao Haomiao took his words to heart, committing them to memory. He had just been temporarily lost in the bliss of a new relationship. He wasn't so stubborn that he couldn't turn back. So a little reminder from Zhou Heng was enough to wake him up. Got it, bro. Thanks. Liao Haomiao smiled at Zhou Heng, feeling incredibly fortunate to have him as a friend. The two of them walked out of the restroom together. Class was about to start, and Yin Mingran was still waiting at the door. Seeing them come out, she immediately walked up to them. After seeing Yin Mingran, Liao Haomiao nodded slightly and said, I sincerely congratulate you. But next time, it might not be you who's number one. Yin Mingran was slightly taken aback. Then a smile touched her lips. All right, then you'd better work hard. I won't be standing still. Today was Saturday, and school let out around 4 or 5 in the afternoon. The next day, Sunday, was a day off. Zhou Heng, Yin Mingran, and Tang Ji walked out of the school together. As soon as he was out the school gate, Zhou Heng took out his phone, ready to call his mother to ask where she was. She had only said she was coming today, but not a specific time. It was possible she didn't know the Saturday dismissal time and hadn't arrived yet. Just as Zhou Heng took out his phone to make the call, a person suddenly stood in front of them, blocking their path. The three of them looked up in unison at the person in front of them. It was a woman who didn't look much older than them, dressed in a striking outfit, a camisole and a short skirt that highlighted her perfect figure. A cascade of curly golden hair fell to her waist. Her face had exquisite makeup, and her eyes were watery and looked very alluring. Before they could say anything, the woman stared straight at Yin Mingran and asked tentatively in a soft voice, Yin Mingran? Yin Mingran blinked, a look of confusion on her face. Zhou Heng and Tang Ji both looked at Yin Mingran. They didn't recognize the woman either. Yin Mingran quickly ran through everyone she knew in her mind, but couldn't place the woman before her. I am Yin Mingran, but you are? Yin Mingran asked cautiously. The woman was clearly taken aback for a moment. Then she smiled faintly and murmured, That's right. You were still very young when I left. It's normal not to remember. The woman's words were unbelievable to the three of them, their faces filled with shock. The implication was that she had known Yin Mingran a long time ago. Yin Mingran looked completely incredulous, her face frozen. She stood there silently. The woman then continued, My name is Song Wan. I'm your mother's younger sister, which means I'm your aunt. Aunt! At these words, all three of them stared with wide eyes, their faces etched with shock, as if they had just received a great fright. This was especially true for Yin Mingran. When she heard the name Song Wan, a vague memory seemed to flash in her mind. When the woman said she was her aunt, for a split second, she thought she remembered such a person from her childhood, but the figure was too blurry to see clearly. After speaking, Song Wan's smile slowly faded, and in an instant, her face was filled with sorrow. I only found out about my sister's passing half a month ago. After that, I immediately rushed back from abroad. It took me many days of asking around to find out which school you were attending. As Song Wan spoke these painful words, her fair face was clouded with sorrow, her brows furrowed. Zhou Heng's heart jumped, and he turned to look at Yin Mingran, seeing that her expression had also grown heavy, her lips pressed together. Zhou Heng was very sensitive about himself or others mentioning her family in front of Yin Mingran. But now this person claiming to be her aunt had appeared, leaving him at a loss and unsure of what to do. Are you really my aunt? After a long silence, Yin Mingran finally spoke, asking softly. In fact, after Song Wan had said all this, she was already quite sure of her identity, but she still found it hard to believe. After all, since her misfortune, all her relatives had distanced themselves from her. No one had been willing to take care of her. Song Wan was the first relative she had seen in over 2 months. Song Wan let out a breath, her eyes filled with pity for Yin Mingran. She didn't find her wary question out of place at all, only feeling that the girl was pitiful. With both parents gone and no one to care for her, this little girl had shouldered everything alone. It was hard to imagine how much she had suffered, yet she was still able to attend school normally. I'm sorry, and it came back too late. I've let you suffer, Song Wan said softly, opening her arms and taking a step forward, attempting to embrace Yin Mingran. She had thought that after she said this, Min Gran would be unable to hold back her pent-up grievances and would break down in tears. But when she spoke and stepped forward, Min Gran actually took a half step back, moving slightly behind Zhou Hong. And Zhou Hong, in an instinctive move, stepped in front of Min Gran. It was only then that Song Wan shifted her attention to Zhou Hong and Tang Ji. She looked up, meeting the tall Zhou Heng's gaze. There was a hint of confusion in both their eyes. You two must be Ranran's classmates, right? Thank you for helping Ranran. I need to speak with her alone now. Zhou Hong had no reason to block Mingran's aunt, so he slowly moved aside. Min Gran still looked a bit timid. Even though she was sure the person before her was her aunt, she wasn't sure if this aunt had any ill intentions. After all, she had seen plenty of malicious relatives, some even thinking she had inherited a lot of money and wanting to seize it. It's okay. We're here. Don't go too far, Zhou Hong whispered to Min Gran. These words gave Min Gran a great deal of courage. With Zhou Hong and Tang Ji nearby, there probably wouldn't be any danger. So Min Gran nodded and slowly walked forward, joining Song Wan. They walked a short distance away. As they walked, Song Wan glanced back and saw Zhou Hong and Tang Ji still staring intently at them. Song Wan chuckled softly and said, "Your classmates are really good to you. Some other day, Annie will treat them to a meal to thank them for their help." Min Gran didn't reply. She knew that Song Wan had no idea how much these two had helped her. How could a debt for saving her life be repaid with a single meal? The two didn't go far, standing within Zhou Heng's line of sight. Song Wan gently took Mingran's hand and began to speak slowly. "You've worked hard, enduring so much. I know you're not familiar with me at all, because I was still very young when I left. Now even you're so grown up, so beautiful. I almost didn't recognize you. I'm actually okay, because he's here." Min Gran replied softly, her gaze unconsciously drifting to Zhou Hong in the distance. Song Wan frowned slightly, but didn't press the matter further, as that wasn't her purpose. After a few seconds of pause, she continued, "Tomorrow or the day after, take me to my sister's grave to see her. It's a pity I didn't get to see her one last time." Min Gran nodded and said, "Tomorrow is fine. The day after isn't. The day after, I have school." After Min Gran finished speaking, Song Wan shook her head and sighed. "You don't need to continue studying here. I'll handle the withdrawal procedures for you." What? After you go see my sister, you'll come with me. I'll take you abroad." Abroad? No, I'm not going. I'm definitely not going." Min Gran barely hesitated. The moment she processed it, she shook her head repeatedly, refusing. Song Wan was a bit surprised and asked, "Why? What are you staying here for? Come with me. I'll take care of you from now on. I guarantee you a good education, much better than what you have now. And with me, your family, around, you won't have to worry about anything anymore." Min Gran still didn't need any time to think, answering resolutely, "No, Auntie, thank you. But I don't want to leave. I have to visit my parents during holidays and festivals, that's for sure. I can't go so far away. Besides, I have family here too." Mingran's voice grew quieter and quieter, as she eventually lowered her head as if she didn't want Song Wan to hear what she had said. Even so, Song Wan heard her clearly. Her mouth opened, her gaze froze, and for a long time, she couldn't utter a single word, as if trying to understand what Min Gran meant. Family here? Was she talking about her biological father? It took only a second for Song Wan to dismiss that answer. Absolutely impossible. How could her biological father have found her? They hadn't seen each other in over a decade. Then was she talking about her grandparents? But when she had gone to ask about Mingran's whereabouts, they had no idea and didn't want to know. It was obvious Min Gran wasn't talking about them. Then who was this family? Just as Song Wan was about to say something, her phone suddenly rang. She took it out and answered the call. She spoke to the other person in a foreign language, not English, so Min Gran couldn't understand. After finishing the call, Song Wan hung up and looked at Min Gran. "How about this? Give me your number. We'll meet tomorrow. And you go back and think carefully about what I said. After all, you're the only person my sister left behind in this world that she couldn't rest easy about. I'm also your aunt, and I have to be responsible for you." With that, Song Wan approached with her phone, ready to get Mingran's contact information. Min Gran didn't say much more. She was of course willing to go see her mother tomorrow, so she gave Song Wan her number. After saving the number, Song Wan started rummaging through her bag, looking rather hurried. Min Gran didn't know what she was doing. The next second, Song Wan pulled out a thick stack of cash from her bag. "Here, and he doesn't have much cash on me. Take this for now. Eat something good tonight. Stay somewhere nice." Before Min Gran could react, Songwon stuffed the cash directly into her hands. Hey, Min Gran was about to refuse and give it back, but Songwon didn't give her the chance. She turned and left, leaving Min Gran with only her hurried back view. This, Min Gran stared at Songwon's back, at a loss. She looked at the cash in her hand, probably 2 or 3,000 yuan. She thought to herself that she definitely couldn't spend this money. She could only hold on to it and return it to Songwon tomorrow. When Zhou Heng and Tang Ji saw Songwon leave, they walked over to Imingran's side. Seeing the cash in her hand, their faces showed surprise. But Imingran's face only showed helplessness. What happened? Zhou Heng gently placed his hand on Imingran's shoulder, asking her. They had only been watching from a distance and didn't know what was said. They only saw Min Gran repeatedly waving her hands and shaking her head, as if refusing something. Min Gran was about to speak, but then she thought. She would never agree to go abroad anyway, so there was probably no need to tell Zhou Heng and the others about it. And nothing much. Just that, she said she wanted me to go with her to see my mother tomorrow. Oh, I see. Zhou Heng nodded in understanding, then exchanged a look with Tang Ji. The two instantly understood each other. Then we'll go with you tomorrow, to see your aunt and uncle. Zhou Heng felt that, as Imingran's boyfriend, he should also pay respects to her parents. And Tang Ji, by all reason and logic, should go too. She had originally planned to play games tomorrow. But in the face of something like this, games had to be put aside. Okay. Min Gran thought for a moment and agreed. She really wanted to bring Zhou Heng and Tang Ji with her, to let her parents see her boyfriend and her best friend. Perhaps their spirits in heaven would be at ease, knowing how well they treated her. Beep! Just then, the three heard a car horn. They turned around and saw Lu Wei leaning out a car window, smiling and waving. Zhou Heng, little Ran, little Ji, over here, coming. Zhou Heng answered, and he and Tang Ji walked over first. Min Gran paused for a moment, looked down at the cash in her hand, straightened it, put it in her pocket, then looked up again, her smile returning. Coming, Mom. The three arrived at the car. Zhou Heng and Tang Ji sensibly sat in the back, leaving the front passenger seat for Min Gran. Min Gran paused for a moment, but didn't say anything and got in. Mom. Hi, Aunt. Hello. Mom. Long time no see. The three greeted her, and Lu Wei beamed with joy, quickly responding, Good kids. How did you all do on your exams? Zhou Heng shook his head helplessly and whispered, Mom, can you not ask about grades the moment we get in the car? Really? Oh, Zhou Heng, you did well this time, didn't you? Otherwise, you wouldn't dare talk back right now. Lu Wei's single sentence pierced right through Zhou Heng's thoughts, making him lower his head in embarrassment. He thought to himself, she really is my mom. I can't hide anything from her. Min Gran and Tang Ji couldn't hold back their laughter either, giggling softly. Min Gran quickly spoke up. Mom, Zhou Heng got 89th place this time. He's already in the upper middle tier of his class. Zhou Heng didn't speak, looking embarrassed, but he was secretly pleased. He had never gotten such good grades in his entire life. Upon hearing this, Lu Wei's expression instantly lit up with surprise. Oh, is that so? My son is amazing. Little Ran, you're really something, to be able to make Zhou Heng improve so quickly. I didn't do much. It's mainly because Zhou Heng is very hardworking and smart. Min Gran smiled shyly, scratching her head, looking as happy as if she had been praised by Zhou Heng herself. For her, getting Zhou Heng's praise was first, followed by Lu Wei's. What about you and little Ji? How did you two do? Lu Wei continued to ask. This time, it was Zhou Heng's turn to answer. One is first in the grade, and the other is third.